That's right, man. Y'all know what that sound means. We are here. We are back once again. JV Wiz Dogon SS here for another edition of the Conscious Approach channel on YouTube. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. Major shouts out to everybody hitting that subscribe button, hitting that like button, leaving comments in those videos, man. We certainly appreciate you. As we continue to kick this logical content, we keep things rocking and rolling. Have a strong series of interesting topics to talk about tonight, as we always do. So, no different from any other week. We are going to go ahead and get right into it, man. First up, we are going to talk about comments made by one of America's finest, Mr. Denzel Washington, preeminent Black actor of our generation, some would say. But he's doing some press right now talking about the Gladiator movie, the new Gladiator movie coming out that he's in, Gladiator 2. And he was, doing an interview with, who was he doing this interview with? He was doing an interview with some publication, Variety or Empire. I think, no, not Empire. He was doing an interview with some publication, but they got onto the subject of talking about politics. And Denzel Washington essentially was saying, hey, listen, we have a responsibility as people to hold everybody's feet to the fire to do their job. And if you think that one side is better than the other, you're fooling yourselves, because all sides are manipulating all of us. So it doesn't matter which side of the aisle you happen to sit on. The narratives and the talking points and the content creation factory is manipulating us on all fronts, not just one over the other. So Denzel Washington unmuted in that regard here. This says, Denzel Washington says, people better realize you're being manipulated by both political sides. Denzel Washington is sharing his thoughts on the current political landscape in the United States. The two-time Oscar-winning actor who stars in Ridley Scott's upcoming Gladiator 2 was recently asked about the 2024 presidential election, which saw Donald Trump defeat Kamala Harris earlier this month. During his interview with the Sunday Times, so that's who it was with, the Sunday Times, editor Jonathan Dean also noted a specific line in Gladiator 2 that felt timely given the election. Empires fall, so do emperors. It's so easy to stand outside America and say this and that, Washington 69 said in response. Turn around, pick a country, anyone. But listen, it's all politics, all promises unkept. And now with the information age the way it is, if anything, left, right, whatever, had better learn how to use those tools to manipulate the people. There was a great line in the first movie I did, which was called Carbon Copy, power to the people. Yeah, they had it once. It was called the Stone Age. We're all slaves to information now. We really are. We're all slaves. So whatever you feel about the leaders, like this guy is crazy or other one is sane, you'd better realize you're being manipulated by both sides, period. So go to the movies. The Equalizer 3 star has previously been open about urging people to open our eyes and hold elected officials in office accountable. I think we as Americans need to unite and hold all of our elected officials' feet to the fire as it relates to working together. We need to demand that they work together through our vote, that they work together to come up with solutions. Elsewhere during his interview with the Sunday Times, Washington also looked back at his career, admitting that not all of his movies were hits. So that pretty much concluded the political aspect of that particular conversation. So, he did this interview and it got a couple people talking about this. He's basically saying don't be manipulated because it's all manipulative tactics and all sides are trying to convince you of certain things, but they aren't necessarily being A1. And he's basically saying hold everybody accountable because you're all being manipulated. I wish I could have gotten some video of this, but really couldn't find any in time. And I found other pieces of this interview, but not them talking about the political stuff. So we'll just have to suffice with the written portion here. But yeah, that's what Mr. Denzel had to say there about politics. We've discussed issues similar to this on this channel in the past. So I don't think I've ever heard Denzel speak on this front before, but be that as it may, sure you have some thoughts on what Mr. Washington there had to say. So the floor is yours.
Well, first of all, it sounds like Denzel Washington watches the conscious approach. So
Hey,
shout out to Denzel for being a loyal viewer. Because honestly, I feel like that's what we've been saying for the past, I don't know how long, especially in this past cycle, where it just was completely off the rails. So um I mean, I agree with him. And if you want to look at politics in a particular way, I know the way that I look at it is no different than WWE, where you would see The Rock and the Undertaker go at it, or whatever. But there's this respect behind closed doors. They go out and have a beer afterwards, and the theater that they put on in front of everybody is just that. It's just theater. And so uh, if we allow them to continue to play these characters and everybody continues to buy into this, then the manipulation that Denzel Washington alluded to will continue. It's not only until we go, hey, The Rock, hey, The Undertaker, look, we know you guys are putting on an act right now. I'm gonna need you to actually do something instead of just, you know, playing into a role. So this, Donald Trump has been playing the heel this entire time. He's been intentionally, getting the crowd all riled up, getting everybody upset, having guest speakers that gets everybody upset. And it's just good cop, bad cop, all over the place, and it's all a game. So I think people just need to be politically aware, politically conscious, and start to actually dig into what these people are doing after all of these horse and pony shows that are their campaigns. And last thing I'll say before I let you go, when he also mentioned that, hey man, we're all slaves, and that's also something that we would talk about here. Now, we're not talking about enslavement, okay? We're not talking about whips and chains, but we're definitely slaves to a system, because, well, we all go to work at places that we don't want to be at, and we would rather be somewhere else while we're trying to do all this stuff to make a paycheck. And we're getting taxed all over the place, whether it's your grocery store, your gas station, your home, your car insurance, to make sure that you don't get up out of there and get financial freedom. So there's all kinds of rigmarole going on. And you got to make sure that the people that you are invested in politically have your best interests at heart and not keeping you in that wheel of perpetual servitude. So shouts out to Denzel. I agree with everything he said there. And again, shouts out to him to being a loyal viewer of the conscious approach and having a conscious mind of his own. But what are your thoughts, sir, on Sir Denzel weighing in, saying that, hey, man, you got to hold their feet to the fire, whether it's the right or the left? What are your thoughts, bro?
I agree 100%. And yeah, like you, I will also echo that this is right in line with what we've been talking about for forever on this channel, at least when we bring up any political topics. That is absolutely the case. And Denzel isn't the first individual in the public eye that we have used as case studies to broach this kind of topic. Not too long ago, we broached a topic with Ice Cube, where he basically had to get on social media and defend himself against people who assumed that he was a Trump supporter merely because he has said certain things in the past in support of conservatism. And, people took that to heart and felt as though he was being a conservative leaning person, which of course publicly you cannot do. And so he had to get on social media and basically say, I'm not for any candidate in particular. I think that collaboration is the way that you see results. But right now, what we have is a fisticuffs in which you pick a side, you dig your hole in the sand, and you don't stick your head out of that hole until your person wins. And I'm not for any of these clowns. The word clown was the word that he specifically used to describe either side, saying, I am all for what makes sense and I am all about collaboration because not one particular side has the answer over the other. He was right, and Denzel Washington is also right here. And it's performance theater, as you alluded to. That's exactly what westernized, particularly American politics, has become. And it's been effective. It's worked because it sucked the majority of the population in. And the unfortunate part is the individual can understand this. So if you talk to a single individual one on one to try and get to the meat of why the truth is somewhere in the middle and why we don't have to deal in absolutes, y'all can come to a common ground and everybody can understand that that is a sensible approach to take when trying to dissect how to approach participating in the political process. But if you get people together, it degenerates into a shouting match, and everyone's just throwing feces at one another because the conversation will be derailed due to one little thing that some person may say that a person doesn't disagree with. And now you're not disagreeing with the central point. You're disagreeing with that one thing that that person said that you don't like. And so when it comes to the internet and social media, that's how things devolve into shouting matches. And now we're engaging in these fear mongering tactics, talking about how because you support this one person, it means you're in support of this grand ideal that's going to run everybody into the ground. And the truth is far more nuanced than that. It's definitely never black and white. It's always gray. So Denzel is absolutely right. He sounds like someone who is unplugged, freed from the matrix. And I agree. Politics has become performance theater. And when he says that we're all slaves to information, that's the kind of enslavement that he is referring to. It's an enslavement of the mind. And in my opinion, I think he is directly referring to the post-truth society that we live in. Post-truth essentially meaning I can give you facts, data, and statistics. But to you, someone who believes what you believe, my facts are irrelevant. So for you, because you believe something, if I give you facts and data and statistics suggesting that your belief is a fallacy, you will then counter by saying, well, my facts are inherent, that my facts are in and of themselves made up, a lie, or a conspiracy, or a red herring, because everyone believes what they want to believe. So much so that facts no longer mean anything; they become irrelevant. That they've coined the term post-truth as a way to describe that. Post-truth meaning that even facts are no longer real. So if I believe one particular thing and you come to me and you say, hey man, I know you believe this, but here's the data and the history and the facts and the stats behind how what you're saying isn't necessarily correct. I'm going to then counter by saying, well, your facts are made up and they're not real. And it becomes all the more convenient to dig your hole in that sand when you live in an echo chamber of your own beliefs being reinforced constantly through your various channels, wherever you receive your information, real or imagined. And that can be on the internet, that can be via your favorite podcaster, whatever the case may be. But this kind of dynamic has fueled the perpetuation of the post-truth society, which fuels people's unwillingness to concede that they don't necessarily have it all figured out, because they just want to believe that their ideological stance is better than the other. And no one really invests time in trying to make it clear that we all have points that make particular sense. We'd rather just say, my job is to convince you that your side is incorrect. And it really has at this point become an enslavement of the mind as a result of this dynamic taking firm hold. So I hear what he's saying. I agree 100%. I think it's rooted in us being post-truth. It's unfortunate, but I think this is where we are, bro. Honestly, that's why I feel like these machines will continue to persist and be proven effective because it works on the collective mindset, which sets forth that I'm going to dig my hole in this particular ideological sand and I'm going to die on that hill, and there's nothing that you can do about it. Meanwhile, the allegiances that you have pledged to take advantage of that. And they take advantage of the channels of information. They take advantage of the echo chambers that you live in, and they bang the gavel on it as much as possible and as hard as they can, so that you can continue to stay stuck in this perpetual loop. And I just think that this is where we are. So I hear what he's saying. I think he's right. We're all being manipulated and controlled to a certain degree by all sides, not just one over the other. But when you believe that you're on the side of righteousness, in your mind, there's not necessarily anything wrong with that.
Yeah, man, it's scary out there, bro. This past cycle, it was very concerning of how many people believe this stuff. Extremists on both ends, as I mentioned, leading up to the damn event. And then after it, the extremists on both ends were, just showing their asses. And man, the level of conditioning that the masses has, to me, it's on one hand of it, it's funny. That's like, damn, I feel sorry for you that you think that way. And then the other side of it is like, damn, these people are everywhere. I mean, they're in traffic with me. They're at the grocery store. I mean, these people are concerning. And the best way that I can say how you can get rid of these mental shackles is to play the opposite game. Because right now we're living in a bizarro world, upside down universe. And the only thing you have to do is whatever they say, it's probably the opposite. Upwards to 90% of everything. And you can just go down the list. It's quite entertaining. And if you're watching something on TV and they're promoting something, it's probably the opposite. If there's movies out there, propaganda, or something out there and they're promoting a certain agenda, it's probably the opposite. That's the opposite is probably what you should be doing. And so this goes with things that they teach in schools, because this is crazy. And we'll cover a topic later about teaching and learning and stuff, but just the cognitive dissonance that some people experience from learning the true history of what happened with Columbus, because you were taught and conditioned a certain way of thinking about how that whole event went, and then when you actually found out the real history, you go, "Oh, it wasn't close to that at all." And there's a lot of that going on when it comes to history, sciences right now, and political things. Certain economic ways of looking at things. Everything is in a bizarro matrix. And so to go with the status quo, to go what CNN is saying, you might need to flip that. And on the other side of the spectrum is whatever Fox is promoting or whatever, that's probably not it either. So you go, okay, well, how can both sides be wrong? Well, both sides are trying to get you to believe in either side, is my point. And maybe the answer is neither one of these sides. But that's too much for people, because then it's like, okay, well, where do I go from here? Because my whole life I've been hearing either I'm left or I'm right, And as you said, man, the truth is somewhere in the middle. And why can't we have something in the middle? Why isn't that an option? Why are we giving one extreme or the other? But again, this is the reality that they've created for most people out here to believe in. So so just do yourself a favor, man. When you're watching something on TV, if there's something on TV that you watching a movie or TV show, oh, here it goes again, they're promoting this again. It's probably the opposite. The opposite is probably what needs to be going on.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a good way of flipping this thing and going, hey, why are they? Because honestly, if these people are out here promoting this stuff, it's probably not good for you. So that's also a good way of flipping this stuff on this axis and going, and then when you actually encounter people who watch all of this stuff, digest it, and believe it all, they sound like the mindless drones that are concerning. And the reason why they sound concerning to you and all this other stuff is because they actually believe that crap. That was, the lies, and now they've got purple hair and, they're doing crazy stuff in the streets. They're being extremists. They'll set up their phone, hit record, start screaming and hollering, put the camera down, edit the video, write a caption, and then upload it to the internet for everybody to see. Is that not madness? But these are the people. They're under a form of control, mind control. So yes, Denzel has a point here, man. Not all forms of slavery is physical, and buying into these systems that we've been lied to about, that they're the ones that keep this cycle going. So then you go, okay, well, what's the alternative? Well, this is our responsibility to change the trajectory of history and not go with the path that was provided to us by the opposite stuff. So hopefully, me speaking in code that made some sense to you all. Okay, because it's only some way you got to say it indirectly. But hopefully, you guys was picking up what I was putting down.
Yeah. What makes what he said so paramount, and I'm going to use your Columbus analogy as an example. Mm-hmm. Well, not an analogy, but use your Columbus example as my example. Mm-hmm. But the reason why psychological manipulation has become such an effective political tactic, and why it works no matter what hole you're dug in, whether you're left, right, conservative, liberal, whatever, it doesn't matter. The tactic itself is extremely effective. And the political apparatus knows this. And the reason why it's so effective is because of the fact that we are post-truth. So, meaning, say somebody grew up being taught that Christopher Columbus was this wonderful dude who discovered America and did all of the stuff that we learned about in elementary school. And you believe that in your heart, you believe this. Now, me being someone who knows that that is not the truth, I can come to you with factual evidence,
right?
Giving you the true history, right? Now, because you refuse to believe that, because you want to believe what you believe about Columbus, you are going to retort by telling me that my facts are lies.
Correct.
Made up by the other side to keep everybody in the dark about the truth. So that's what's going on both sides. Everyone is doing it. So right. If I bring you factual evidence saying, hey, that's not correct, this is the real, you're going to say, oh, those are all lies. That's what they want you to believe.
Right.
And when you have that going on all over the place, the politicians know that. So these performance actors can lean into that by saying, don't believe what they want you to believe. Right. They want you to think this. They want you to think that. So this is really what it is.
Right.
Vote for me. Listen to me. Listen to our side. Don't allow yourself to be bamboozled into the notion that everything that you thought your entire upbringing is actually incorrect.
Correct.
And I'm not saying that one. I'm saying everything does that. The DNC does it. The RNC does it. Liberals do it. Conservatives do it. Everyone's doing that, and it allows you to stay fully entrenched in your echo chambers, and it allows you to refuse to be dug out of your hole. You can just, and they lean into it. So that's the manipulation that's taking place. Is I'm going to create an environment in which it makes it easier for me to make these people not want to be dug out of their holes.
Yes.
And that environment persists, and it's a very effective manipulative tactic. That's what's going on. Schools, economics, education, all over the place. It's here's the data. You can't fake data in math and science. You can't. Those are all universal truths. But in this era of post-truth, especially when it comes to politics, we're now even trying to turn truth into a lie. And that's the scary part. Because at that point, when math and data and facts and statistics and history now become a conspiracy and a lie and a matter of tinfoil, that even now we want to refute the stuff that we know to be true mathematically, where do you go from there? And everybody wants to, and everybody's doing this now because we want to stay in these echo chambers, because we have to continue to believe that we are on the side of righteousness.
Yep.
And everyone leans into it. So everything he's saying is true, man. I just hope that at some point people listen, because you have to hold people accountable for doing their jobs. And right now, these people aren't doing their jobs. They are performing. Right. They are performance theater actors, and they're getting away with it because as long as they parrot the speech that you care to hear, as long as they parrot the speech that you want to hear, that you care about, accountability is a secondary function. Just give me the speech that I want parroted to me. It's what, various groups have been doing for 50, 60 years when it comes to the DNC. And it's what all of these ultra crazy conservative, extreme conservative people are doing with the right stuff. It's happening everywhere. So, one side thinks that they're righteous enough that their zealotry is okay because they're right. And the other side also thinks that their zealotry and their dogmatism is okay because they're on the side of righteousness. And when you got that going on, no one is listening to anything. And the people who are in charge to do a job get away with not doing their job.
Yep. Yeah, man. And it's crazy. Last thing I'll say, again, to speak on the Columbus thing. So that's like, there's a journal, by the way. He wrote journals. Columbus wrote journals. So do yourselves a favor and YouTube it. YouTube Columbus's accounts, whatever he was talking about in his journals. You'll be astonished of some of the madness that this man would say. And it's nothing like what we learned in school, which was provided to us by the state, the same state that's telling us to go either one side or the other. And then people grow up thinking one side or the other, believing that Columbus brought us all over here on a Mayflower. And then when we're sitting here listening to these rallies and these political speeches and stuff, they're saying, and Columbus brought us over here on the Mayflower. And everybody's like, yeah, the Mayflower. You know what I'm saying? And we broke bread with the Native Americans. We broke bread with them. And then I'll talk to somebody in the street. Hey, man, how's it going? And they're going, we all came here on the Mayflower. We were breaking bread. And I was like, damn, hey, you do know that Columbus had a journal, right? You could go listen to what he had to say for it. No, you're crazy. That's tinfoil stuff. That's crazy. That's crazy talk. And it's like, damn. And it's like, my favorite politician told me that we came here on the Mayflower, damn it. And it's like, oh, man, you're out of your damn mind. So no wonder you're sitting there pressing record, hollering and screaming, editing it, writing captions, and then uploading it to the internet. Because you actually believe we all came here on the Mayflower. So, yeah, man. So just look at it that way. I look at it. A lot of people are talking like that. So, at least here on this channel, man, we don't profess to have all the answers. But, as we always try to get out there, man, is think for yourselves. And a good way of finding out how to think for yourself is doing some research on your own, man. There's plenty of history out there, guys. And it's as cliche as it sounds, man. But if you don't know your history, man, you're doomed to repeat it. And that means because the people out here that's playing games on y'all, they know that y'all don't know the history of the game. Because if they're trying to run the same play over and over again, you go, oh, well, it's always been this way, hasn't it? And it's like, no, it hasn't. It's been like that since you was growing up. But one thing you have to realize is that you're in a game. You're playing a game. And so this game wasn't always here. And, so do some research, man, on anything, whatever your favorite topic is. Dig a little deeper in there. Try to find out the origins of things. And I'm telling you, it's going to unravel a whole bunch of other stuff because everything's interconnected in a very big web. one thing will lead you to that thing, the other thing will lead you to another. But yeah, know your guys' history out there. Whatever your interest is, go dig up in it, and then somehow, some way, it'll lead right back to this conversation, because it always does.
Yeah, and just understand that if you're reading something that is a fact or that is truly of the historical record and it is counter to what you've always believed, don't be averse to it. Just accept it. Just accept it. Sometimes the truth is the truth. Just accept it. And not everything is made up in a lie the way you are being, the way it's being dictated to you that it is. So there is a such thing as truth out there still, people. Even if it goes against what you've always believed, just believe in the truth at the end of the day. So shouts out to Denzel, man. First time that he has been a subject on the channel, I believe, and I would guess that it won't be the last.
Yeah, man. Shouts out. Loyal subscriber, Denzel Washington. How about it?
Next up, we are going to get into DDG, who is quickly approaching friend of the channel territory. This is the second time in I think as many months that we have discussed this guy, and he's unmuting. I think he cannot bear the weight of his breakup, and as a result, he's just exposing himself on the internet. And I don't think he's making himself look very good. But nevertheless, it is something that we can use to discuss greater issues affecting us all, I would say. So this says DDG wishes he was a deadbeat. DDG is stressed out. It's been a busy year for DDG. For one, the YouTuber and rapper navigated his first year of fatherhood following the arrival of his son with Halle Bailey, Halo. He proceeded to announce he and Bailey's breakup in October, and has since gotten into a bit of online drama with the Little Mermaid actress. He's also been a frequent target for online criticism. This is usually based on his parenting skills or his former relationship. Apparently, all of this has started to weigh heavily on DDG based on a new tweet. Recently, he took to X to vent and to joke that his life would be much easier if he didn't have so many things going for him. According to him, this makes him a magnet for hate, which he's had enough of. Being handsome, rich, and good. Let me start over. Being handsome, rich, a good dad, and successful is stressful. Shit come with unnecessary hate and judgment for no reason. I wish I was a broke, ugly, deadbeat dad. You N-words got it easy. Fans are sure that both Bailey and Halo are glad things are the way they are. They can't blame DDG for feeling frustrated, however. So here's this tweet there on X. Yeah, being handsome, rich, a good dad, and successful is stressful. I didn't know this. That is news to me. After all, the 27-year-old recently admitted that he hasn't moved on from his ex yet, despite rumors that he might be romantically involved with someone new. He was spotted getting up close and personal with baddie star Anna Mac for a video shoot, leading to rumors that they were more than just collaborators. DDG quickly shut those rumors down, however, making it clear that he's focused on his family for the time being. According to him, he'd be willing to have more kids in the next few years with the same person, as he doesn't want to have children with multiple people. No, I'm not dating, he explained at the time. I haven't moved on. At the time of writing, Bailey is yet to address his remarks. So this guy, Mr. DDG, appears to be going through it. He broke up with his girl, but apparently he's not over his girl. And he says that being a good-looking guy who's successful and a good dad is actually stressful, and that he wishes he was ugly and broke and a deadbeat dad, because then it would be easier. What do you make of these comments, man?
Boy, very short-sighted, very self-absorbed, and immature. This is what is he getting at with this? Hey, bro, if you thought you was catching criticism before, here's some more. Okay, here's some more, DDG. Now, on our last topic that we covered, he was pretty much talking about, you know what I'm saying, him being in, you know, in the dating pool, him being in the matrix, and you know, just, you know, you got to be on, you got to be popping, you got to have all this stuff going for yourself in order to, you know, to have a woman be loyal to you or whatever. So it sounds like now, him being on and popping and all these other good things, it sounds like that's not good enough either. It sounds like that's also a miserable life. Now, this guy is definitely taking his life to the internet. He's bringing all his struggles for everybody to watch and consume. And the more he speaks, the more, you know, young and immature he sounds. 27 though, should have a pretty good grasp on things at that point.
Exactly.
I thought this kid was like 22, but bro, you're pushing 30, dude. So you've been around this planet for a while, and a statement like that again is just very short-sighted. Honestly, when it comes to stuff like this, you know, being a deadbeat, first of all, being a responsible human being is never easy. And so what was you, bro? And because the only thing you said there is that, hey, I'm trying to be responsible, and irresponsible people have it easy. I would beg to differ, because, well, they technically have it easier because they're not doing the same amount of tasks, but irresponsible people have their own demons that chase them, which is why they're irresponsible. They're runners from responsibility, which also haunts them. So I think you would rather be on the side of being a responsible person, taking care of your business, and deal with that stress instead of dealing with the stress of running away from actually doing the right thing. But some people would also argue that this guy's a deadbeat. You know, even though he's taking care of his child. Look, just because you're taking care of your kid don't mean that you're on point either. Now, I'm not going to judge this guy for parenting or anything else, but you know what I'm saying? Just because you're taking care of your jit, there's more to being a good role model than, you know, just making sure there's enough diapers and milk, and, you know, you're there to hug the child or whatever. Also part of this stuff, man, is making sure that you're providing them with a non-deadbeat worldview. And honestly, bro, that's a deadbeat ass worldview that you provided. The irony of it all. So, yeah, I don't care for this statement. Anybody that's running around here calling themselves good looking is weird. That's weird too, bro. Like, I can't get with none of this stuff that you're saying, bro. So, and I don't even want to throw people in his cohort under the bus for having a, you know, this is just him saying something ignorant. So I don't co-sign this, DDG. I'm sorry. Even for a young person that's living in the matrix, this isn't gospel. This is dangerous rhetoric. But what are your thoughts, man, on DDG saying that being young, fly, and handsome and taking care of your child is hard work? What are your thoughts, man?
I think he needs a reality check. You know, I'm reminded of, I keep bringing it up, but man, the more we talk about some of these topics, the more admiration that I have for some of the comedians that I grew up on, who were talking about this stuff 20, 30 years ago. And it still goes on. But Chris Rock, once again, I think it was Bring the Pain when he was talking about black men, and he's like, you want credit for something you're supposed to do,
right?
Like, I take care of my kids. Like, you don't get credit for that. Exactly. That's your job. You're supposed to do that. It sounds like he's trying to curry favor on the internet for things that he is inherently responsible for. Agreed. And it's like, bro, no one's going to give you sympathy for that. But this is today's modern man, unfortunately, unwilling to accept responsibility for the plight that he finds himself in due to the decisions that he made willfully. I have no sympathy for this guy. I didn't have any sympathy the last time we talked about this. I have no sympathy for him now. These individuals are out of their minds. And the reason why we broach these topics is because there is danger inherent in the possibility that there are other impressionable people, more specifically young men, who listen to guys like this and say, yeah, he's got it figured out. No, he doesn't. He's an idiot. Okay. He sounds like somebody who doesn't know who he is.
Yes.
And there are a lot of humans in general, not just men. There's men and women who don't know who they are. And before they figure out who they are getting into relationships and marriages and having children. And then when they haven't been able to reconcile not knowing who they are with the fact that they now have this monstrous responsibility, they can't handle it, and they self-destruct. And the first recourse that they can think of is removing themselves from that equation. So a lot of times for us men, when we can't reconcile not knowing who we are with the fact that we now have a family to take care of, a mouth to feed, a spouse or a partner or a mate to be responsible for, we decide that we are just going to get out of it. So here comes the divorce, or here comes the irreconcilable difference, or here comes the breakup. But you still want to be a part of your kid's life, so you're going to tangentially do that and try to handle all of your responsibilities, but you know for a fact that you kind of have one foot in and one foot out because you started this whole thing because you did it not knowing who you are as a person. And one who is watching this video might ask, well, what do you mean JV wins? What do you mean he doesn't know who he is? I'll explain to you what I mean. DDG, because I know you and I have a mutual friend that this reminds me of. I won't mention his name. You know who I'm talking about. And I know other guys who do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, these are guys who want to be in the streets and want to be casual daters and want to sort of conquer and sow their oats by maintaining as many sexual relationships with as many different women as possible. But they somehow also believe that they want to be married and want to raise a family and want to do commitment. Those two notions are, of course, counterintuitive, but they nevertheless walk around believing in this duality and thinking that they can somehow pull off both, even though they know they can't. So before they can get to a point where they understand and accept who they truly are, they're either having a child or falsely committing to a single individual. And by the time that ends up running its course, the relationship disintegrates and they end up getting out of it. Now, if you can get out of that before you have a child with this person, that's the best case scenario. However, more often than not, before these guys come to terms with who they are, they end up dropping these jits. They end up having these children, and now they find themselves in a toxic co-parenting relationship. And what ends up happening is they end up blaming the woman for the fact that this is now the kind of thing that they find themselves involved in. Well, dude, if you knew who you were and you didn't drop this jit because you understood that you still want to be out in the streets, you probably wouldn't be dealing with a toxic co-parenting setup. Maybe y'all would have had some sort of a casual short-term thing that would have went on for a certain period of time. And after that, you get out of it and y'all part ways and move on, but there wouldn't be a child involved. But because you wrestled with this duality for as long as you did, now you're a single dad and you're a baby father and you're dealing with a baby mama who doesn't think very fondly of you because you sold her a bag of goods, bro. You sold her a bag of goods. And too many of us guys do this, man. We really need to stop this. Like, look, bro, if you want to be in the streets, be in the streets. I'm not even sitting here saying don't be in the streets. I'm not trying to tell people what to do with their lives. I'm just saying you got to be honest with who you are. And you have to make sure that you communicate that honesty to the people that you deal with. I don't know these two people from a can of paint, but from an outsider's perspective, it looks as though she felt as though they were going to be building something and he had other plans. That's what it looks like from an outsider's perspective. Now, if that's not the way it is, I feel, go ahead and correct me if that's not the way it is. That's fine. But it looks as though she got with this guy and they had a child together, and she was probably thinking, oh, we're going to actually do this family thing. And it looks as though he still wanted to be in the streets. Maybe, maybe not. The fact of the matter is, if you don't drop your seed in the first place, none of this happens, and you're not dealing with this. And something tells me you know for a fact whether you are the type of person who is ready for that in your life, even at 27 years old. And to ignore that little voice because you're trying to simultaneously balance this dual nature within you of being a guy who's out in the streets trying to be lit and popping, to use his own words, but also trying to raise, a nuclear family unit with this person who would rather you not be in the streets, is going to lead to self-destructive results. And at the end of the day, when you can't reconcile those self-destructive results, you find yourself on Twitter saying nonsense like you wish that you were a not good looking, broke, deadbeat father. As if that makes sense.
That shit weird, bro.
So like that's what, like, are people supposed to read that tweet and say, wow, that makes a lot of sense?
Bro, that shit had like 17,000 likes. So some of these kids was enjoying that.
I suppose so.
That's the scary part.
Yeah, but that's where we find ourselves, man. People need to know who they are. This guy doesn't know who he is. He sounds like a confused person to me. He sounds like a confused individual who, I'm pretty sure he loves his child. I'm pretty sure a lot of these guys love their children. I'm pretty sure a lot of these guys who do the same thing as him love their children, would do anything for their children, want to take care of their and be a part of their child's life, but also at the same time say, my reality sucks. And it's like, well, if you knew who you were and you took that approach into these types of arrangements, you wouldn't find yourself miserable with where your life has gone. You would have made a different choice. This is not going to be an op-ed on, because we all do this, but this is, dissecting what he said there, because it doesn't make sense. It sounds like gibberish. And whether people believe this dangerous rhetoric or not, I agree with you, that is a problem. But be that as it may, this to me is gibberish. And it sounds like the ramblings of a lost soul who doesn't know who he is. And he is taking to the internet to try and gather his online community to help him figure out who he is. Because thus far, he hasn't been able to figure it out for himself. And being unable to figure it out for himself has led him to being a part of a family structure that I think if he had it to do over again, he wouldn't elect to be a part of.
Yeah. And I agree, man. People just got to learn how to, just charge it to the game, man. Everybody wants things their way, how they want it, when they want it. And that's not life. That's not how life goes. And that's not how life goes in the grand scheme of things. Now, if you decide to be out here and to be out here, got a roster full of people, or you do have an old lady, but you still doing your thing on the side, or ladies, if you have a dude and you still doing your things on the side, you got to charge whatever comes with that to the game, because you're playing it. And when the game comes and collects its tax, you can't sit here and cry foul.
You got to pay it.
You got to pay that.
Yeah.
Nobody says you got to pay it with a smile on your face, but just pay that and keep moving, because you're in this game that's going to tax you. So for this dude here, who, as you mentioned, he just doesn't know where he's at. He doesn't understand his coordinates. If you don't know who you are and you don't know what game you're playing, of course you're going to sit here and cry foul like this. You don't know where the hell you're at. Bro, you're not just in the game. You're in the industry in the game. So that's a whole nother woe is me that, the average person doesn't have to deal with when they're playing the game. But now you're playing the game where everybody knows your name. Everywhere you go, you're going to have some little groupie girl hollering at you or DMing you or whatever the hell. And so you're out here just playing the game. It's nothing safe for him. So for him to be like, oh yeah, whoop de whoop, I wish I was. Hey, bro, That's just corny, bro. It's just corny. It's a weird sideways flex too, which is like, who does that, dude? But again, man, yeah, man, when you scroll this kid's IG, bro, you can see his lostness all over him.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, you can see his lostness all over him, man. He didn't know what the hell he's doing. He's being a rapper.
Yeah.
And so everything he says is rapper. And it doesn't says whoever he is as an individual. This person is unfortunately DDG. Whatever the hell that means. So he is a crystallized version of a rapper. So even if there's something that he feels he had to say or he says or whatever, it's like what a famous rapper would say. It's like, well, what are your thoughts? What do you think about what Columbus did in history? And he doesn't care about any of that stuff. This guy's out here just, so for him to have Bailey or whatever, that was him having one of the baddest chicks in the game. That was nothing. That was nothing to that. There was no substance behind that because he was doing the rapper thing. So now that he has a child and he wants to be there for his child, nothing wrong with that. But he's doing it like a rapper. There's an image of his child with a stack of money on his head, just sitting at the baby looking crazy. But he just put a stack of money on the baby head and took a picture of it and uploaded it to the gram for everybody to look at his child looking crazy. I felt sorry for the baby. So I was like, man, yeah, you're there being a father, but what kind of fathering is this? No, he got money on his mind. I'm going to show him how to get to the money. And it's like, no, you're showing him how to be a rapper. And in your last post that we covered, and in this one, it doesn't sound like the best lifestyle to live. But he's leading them right down there. So this guy here, as you mentioned, bro, he doesn't know who the hell he is. He just grew up in the wave. He is the wave. So everything he experienced is wave. That tweet was wave. As you mentioned, just trying to garner sympathy from people out there that's like, whatever. And, I'm pretty sure all his fans or whatever was like, man, that's tough. I feel that, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that because I ain't ugly. You know what I'm saying? I'll take care of my jit, but my baby mama going crazy. Like, okay, well, where'd you meet your baby mama? Okay, how much money did she ask you for on your first date? How did all that stuff go down? Were you being loyal to her the whole time? Was she being loyal to you the whole time? You know what I'm saying? It's like a whole background story to why this situation ain't right. And that's why you got to charge that to the game. And last thing I'll say is part of charging things to the game, man, is just being ready to accept consequences for your actions. And right now, whether you're somebody that wants to be a rapper or the average everyday person out here that's just fleeing from accountability, nobody wants to be okay with whatever responsibilities comes with their actions. And so this is just a testament to it. So that 17,000 likes is from 17,000 people who don't care for their own responsibilities.
Oh, sure. Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah. Hey, man. So that's what I'm saying, bro. We in traffic with these people. No wonder they're going crazy.
Yeah, I know. It's wild. But I mean, but I've heard this a lot, man, in passing. He sounds like something I've heard all too often, which is the man who cannot reconcile his duality, and it causes tremendous confusion. That's what he sounds like, because he's said publicly in the past, I just pulled up a more sound bites from him before. He said, no, I'm not dating. I haven't moved on. Basically saying he hasn't moved on from the woman who he had the child with, Miss Bailey. Y'all don't even know I'm just working, bro. I know people be weird with me on the internet and my relationship. Maybe in like the next 2 to 3 years, I don't want to have kids with multiple people. I feel like that's just too much. Like, what are you talking about? So on the one hand, on the one hand, you're saying you got to be lit and you got to be popping so that you can get a girl and know that the dude who's more popping and more lit can't take your girl from you.
Correct.
But then you're also saying you're not over your previous relationship and that you don't want to have kids with anyone else because it defeats the purpose. And so, which is it? Like, which is it? Which one? Because I'm fairly certain the woman who you had a child with thought that you were just lit and popping enough for her, but apparently that wasn't enough. So which is it? And a lot of us guys are really confused out here. I truly believe that we are confused. Women are confused too. Women are confused, but as I've said many times before, in my opinion, a woman's confusion is less consequential because a woman is essentially waiting on a man who knows what he is to give her what she wants, which is all of that flowery stuff, commitment, ideally monogamy and a family and all of that kind of stuff. If she's a woman who fancies those kinds of things, like for all of a woman's confusion, if a guy steps correct to her and is like offering that, her confusion doesn't mean anything. But for guys, the confusion is more consequential because until we reconcile that confusion, we'll continue to make all the wrong decisions. So he just sounds like one of us out here, one of the many amongst us out here who doesn't know who he is and he's confused. Do you want to be lit and popping and out here getting with whatever you're doing in the industry? Or do you want to get back with the woman who you've already openly admitted you're not over and you've already said you don't want to have kids with anybody else with? I don't understand. Which is it? And in human society, it is a man's responsibility to stand firm on principle. Like that's a man's responsibility to know what he's doing, know what he wants, and help rear and guide, his partner and future generations in the right direction. So if you yourself don't know who you are, you're guiding those people in the wrong way. But this is where we are with this stuff. And he feels emboldened to make these weirdo statements online because this internet manifesto out here where people are just dug into their echo chambers think they can just say whatever they want and get a pass for it as if it makes sense. None of what he's saying makes sense. And to any of you guys out there who thinks that this makes sense, you should listen to somebody else because none of this makes sense. I hope he figures out who he is.
He won't.
And I hope that I hope he figures out who he is. And I hope that discovery gives him the clarity that is required of him to make the kinds of decisions that he needs to make so that he does not find himself doing this kind of stuff in the future. For his sake, I hope he figures it out. And all the other men out there, I hope y'all figure it out too. There are various aspects of my own dual nature that apply, not in this respect. I'm not on this kind of stuff, but we all got to figure it out in some kind of way because a man knowing who he is far more consequential, in my opinion, than a woman knowing who she is. Not to diminish women in any kind of way, but when it comes to this whole relationship thing, it's more important for men to know who they are. So I hope he figures it out because if he doesn't, he can say all day long that he doesn't want to have another kid by someone else. But while he continues to be wayward, it is entirely on the board that he nevertheless will do that.
100%, bro. And and last thing I'll say is, bro, just quit crying, dog. You know what I'm saying? grow the hell up, man. You know what I'm saying? Just grow up, dude. When I was 27, bro, you know what I'm saying? I don't know if I cried like this. This is crazy. Just grow the hell up, man. Own up on your responsibilities. If you are taking care of your child, as I mentioned before, man, be a good example. But don't be sitting on the internet crying like that. That's a horrendous example. And so, and anybody else out there, man, that's sitting out here that's DDG defenders because you know what I'm saying, you was born in a particular generation. I'm not attacking y'all, man. I'm attacking this guy. And our lesson here is, again, just own up to your responsibilities and figure out who you are, man, as a person. And it's not what the internet thinks of you. It's not what the internet perceives you to be or how you perceive to be on the internet. It's who you think you are, man. It's that little you that you always grew up with, that you always tried to protect. Get in touch with that, man, and be honest with that. Uh, and be a responsible person, man. Because this stuff right here, this guy's showing you how to be an irresponsible human. And I don't stand for that, man. This guy's parading around like a knucklehead right now. So
Yeah.
tisk DDG.
Yeah.
But I already know he's gonna say something else silly down the line. We're gonna cover it here at the Conscious Approach.
Yeah, he needs to figure it out.
So that's
Uh
what it.
yeah, for sure. Definitely. What was I going to say? Oh yeah. Everything that you said there, and I will also add, even though it's not too late, of course, but preferably try to figure out who you are before you become a parent.
Yeah.
Um, figure out who you are before you start having children, because it is only going to exacerbate your lack of knowing who you are when you start to have a whole nother life to be responsible for.
Lord have mercy.
She whiz, bro. Next up, we are going to discuss Colin Kaepernick, who made an appearance at the AFROTECH Conference 2024 recently and talked about his new venture, which is an AI based platform that allows content creators the infrastructure to create and be the creators that they want to be without having to conform to any sort of industry or any sort of politics and all of that good stuff. And the central message that he wanted to get out is that not all money is good money. So he feels as though it's important for you to, if you are a creator, if you are a storyteller, if you are anything of the sort, don't sell your art down the road via a deal that is going to compromise the integrity of what it is that you want to do. Essentially, he is saying, stay 10 toes down. Not all money is good money. And if you do want to be a part of an infrastructure that allows you to do what you want to do, check out his own platform. So, of course, he's going to plug what he's doing as well. So this says AFROTECH 2024, Colin Kaepernick urges all money is not good money and talks Lumi, his AI-powered storytelling platform. When Colin Kaepernick took a knee during a preseason game ahead of the 2016 NFL season, the world ran with narratives about his decision. Today, he has a platform that is helping people who look like him share their stories. Taking the stage at the 2024 AFROTECH Conference on November 14th in Houston, the former San Francisco 49ers quarterback beamed with pride as he spoke to eager attendees about his platform, Lumi, which uses artificial intelligence to provide marginalized creators with opportunities for independence so they can share the stories that oftentimes live in their heads with no place to go. I've done the graphic novel, I've done a couple of children's books, and typically those processes from when a contract is signed to when it is released is over 2 years. Those projects need six-figure investments to get off the ground, and then on the back of that typically is 12 to 18 months before you become profitable. So you're looking at 3.5 years approximately before you become profitable on a project that shouldn't take that long. Now you add in all the elements of who gets to tell stories, what they look like, and we see what we don't represent in those spaces. So for us, we looked at how can we create this solution for any creator to be able to come on the platform and tell the story they want to. So when you come on, you can just have an idea of the story you want to tell. We'll help you with the character development. We'll help you create your character. We'll help you ideate and create your script. We'll help you create the imagery for the story, and then we'll help you put all of that together. That finished product will be digitally available as soon as you'll be able to physically publish that and merchandise it on the platform. The goal with Lumi is to create an all-in-one solution that will help people have full autonomy over telling the stories they desire to tell, he said. As a civil rights activist, Kaepernick is keen to move the culture forward. For the aspiring founders and creatives in the crowd, he urged them to hold tight to their integrity rather than jumping blindly into deals with investors who do not align with the vision and purpose of their ideas. I want to touch on one final piece there is for the founders out there. Also, who our investors are is extremely important. All money is not good money. I think being able to sit here and have this conversation, we are very fortunate to have incredible investors on this journey with us. We know there's bias within AI models today, and that exists because what historically has happened and how we've been excluded has caused those models to be biased. So, as we think about building a future within AI, as we think about building new stories for the future and how we're represented and how we show up, we also have to be in the room building it. If there's anybody out here who wants to be on that journey with this building, please send us your resume. We'd love to check you out, to have a conversation and see what we can do. So there's Kaepernick telling the crowd there at Afrotech that not all money is good money. Don't sign a bad deal, and check out his AI, centric platform if he wants to be, if you want to be a part of an infrastructure that allows you to do what you want as a creator without being dictated to by, you know, uh, the powers that be, if you will. So, what do you think about Kaepernick's statements and about his Lumi platform?
I think that on the surface, sounds pretty good. On the surface, I would also say that that's a pretty good program to have for people out there, and so they can more or less direct the consumer content and try to profit off it. So I think that that's on the surface, a good thing. The reason why I keep saying on the surface, and I don't mean to be cynical here, but I still have, I don't know what to think of Kaepernick as a person. And this is just a personal thing I have with him, as far as being a guy that to me he's like a commercial activist, and he says a lot of stuff that sounds good, and this sounds good. My fear or concern with these AI platforms, and I discussed this when we talked about will.i.am, when he was talking about this, something similar to this, is that I don't know how these things work down the line when you try to really cash out on these things. I don't know what kind of fine print you're signing on to with these terms and agreements later on. So, for instance, on platforms such as this, on YouTube or Instagram or anything else like that, if the platform decides to ban you, demonetize you, or do anything that they want to do, well, that's their right to do it. Why? Because it's their platform. I would see people hoot and holler like, hey, this is my intellectual property. This is my hard work. I put all these hours in. I did this. I did that. It took me forever to get monetized. I feed my family off of this. You don't have the right to do this. No, they have every right to do that, because you signed a term and agreement by uploading your stuff to this thing. So my concern for these AI driven things that are allowing people to do all of this stuff or whatever, at the turn of a key, assets could be frozen, seized, taken off the platform,
Subpoenas.
Who knows, man? You know what I'm saying? And so there goes all of your intellectual property. Because on top of that, because you can sit here and say, hey, man, this was my idea. And it's like, yes, but our program also helped you develop the character. It also helped you develop the storyline. It also provided that. So we actually, percentage wise, we contributed more than you did. So this is now our story. Or they can run something very similar to that not promote yours as much, but promote theirs, and then they get the money off of it. So when you're dealing with this AI stuff, it could get kind of, it can get kind of weird. And that's my concern with it, because it is so good at what it does. It can really screw people over. So on the surface, this sounds great. And I don't mean to be cynical with this, but I do like to caution people whenever they're, providing so much information to these things. I would say be careful out there. And if you do have a great idea, keep that one in the holster and give it your other one, your demo one that is also good, but not as good as the main one, and see what happens with that first. Because I don't know how this works when it comes to intellectual property down the line. Because right now this is just the beginning of it. And let's say 5 years down the line, when things really start to blow up, you might not see it the way that you think you might. So what are your thoughts, man, on Sir Colin Kaepernick developing a program, honestly, which sounds noble, to help creators out there actually develop their own storyline and direct the consumer it? What are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I think it sounds good, but my trepidation with AI is preventing me from truly applauding this. You raise a good point first, real quick. You raise a good point about the ownership of IPs. That's a very good point. For the as we continue to build this community, and we're doing this here on YouTube, I don't own this. YouTube does, unfortunately. If Google's servers were to shut down tomorrow, I would have no access to any of my content that's on YouTube. The only way that I'd be able to retain any access to it is if I literally went through the back end of my Creator Studio and downloaded the raw files of every video, and I saved them to like an external hard drive or something.
Which you should do.
But yeah, I probably should do that. Barring me doing that, if something were to happen tomorrow, let's say the world economy collapsed and Google's server shut down, I'm asked out, and I do not have a right to claim any of this content because it lives and it is hosted on Google servers. They retain ownership. It's the same reason why your text messages aren't really private. They are, but they aren't, because if the federal government wants to subpoena your text messages, they can do that, and the phone carriers would have to hand them over, and the individuals investigating you will have access to all of your text messages. So you think that all your stuff is 100% private. It's not. So that's actually a good point that you raise about that. We don't really own any of this stuff. If you play a video game, and you have a profile on the game, and you don't put years upon years into your account, and you don't put all of this money into it, if the game server shut down tomorrow, the game's just over, man.
Yeah.
The game's just over. And it doesn't matter how much money you put into it, you don't own the game.
Yeah, exactly.
But Bethesda owns the game, or Xbox, or whoever owned Naughty Dog, whoever made the video game, whoever owns the servers that host your game, they own your stuff, not you. You're just renting it for a while. So it's actually a good point that you bring that up, because even the notion of ownership, you take that with a grain of salt, because unless you created your own studio and you're creating your art and you have your own servers and you're creating it on your own AI platform that you invented, you really don't own it at the end of the day, ultimately.
Correct.
And my number one question to Kaepernick would be, do creators get 100% of their profits? Because I'm pretty sure they don't.
No,
like if a creator takes advantage of his platform to create something and they become monetized, I'm pretty sure there's going to be some term of service which dictates that his platform gets a percentage of that, or some cut. Like, I'm pretty sure the creators don't get 100% of those profits. If they did, then that would be a whole different ball game. But to my knowledge, nothing like that has happened before it, and I don't see anything like that happening afterwards, because a service provider is always going to want to get some sort of ancillary benefit off of being able to provide said service. All of you women out there who think that you're entrepreneurs and you create stuff on OnlyFans, y'all don't own that content. If the OnlyFans server shut down tomorrow, your content's done. You don't own any of that stuff. You're utilizing their servers in order to be able to host your content, but you don't own it, which is why OnlyFans gets a cut of whatever your monetization value is. Whatever the valuation of that monetization is, you don't get 100% of that. They get a piece of it. So ultimate ownership is always something that needs to be dissected when we're talking about stuff like this. But even beyond that, it's hard for me to really fully embrace this because of my problems with AI, my cautious nature, my trepidation with AI. I am on the record, I'm not comfortable with AI, not because of how it can make a person's life convenient or how it can create applications or inroads that will make people's lives somehow better or enhanced or easier. I am cautious and I'm trepidatious about AI because I've said this before. I believe AI's true purpose is to eliminate humans from being productive members of society. I think AI's ultimate purpose is to eliminate humans from the workforce. That's what I think its goal is. And so to bring that back to this platform that Kaepernick has going on, I would like this a lot more if Kaepernick was creating a creator studio. And instead of it being AI powered, it was an actual studio that employed designers and artists and creatives to provide infrastructure and resources to people who have ideas. Because at that point, you are giving graphic designers, you're giving videographers, you're giving audio-visual experts, you're giving writers, you're giving these individuals an avenue to work and earn a living by lending their talents to other people with ideas for storytelling. I would like that idea, but that, of course, isn't cost effective. What is cost effective is creating an AI platform that can eliminate those prospective people from being able to do that kind of work and allowing a robot to do it. And by robot, I, of course, mean, an artificial intelligence of some sort, be it a voice activated, computer program or some sort of a coding thing or however AI is working these days. Or, they got AI programs creating television ads and marketing platforms and all of this kind of stuff. So that's what I mean by robot. But I would like it if somebody was creating a creator studio that allowed some of these other creatives to lend their abilities to said storytellers. And it can be like a symbiotic relationship. But what this is just yet another addition of an AI application that removes people from seats that they would otherwise occupy to do those very same functions. And I just wish we weren't at that point. I get how AI is beneficial in certain respects. I do not like how it eliminates humans from the workforce. I'd rather see Colin Kaepernick create a creator studio that employed graphic designers, that employed coders, that employed web developers, that employed people who knew HTML and JavaScript, people who knew how to work content management systems, people who were audiovisual experts, people who were videographers. I would rather him create that kind of thing. People who were experts in InDesign and Photoshop and Illustrator. Hire those people. These creatives out here are struggling to find work because they're being laid off, eliminated by these technologies by some of the very same technologies that he's putting out there. So, this isn't a Kaepernick bash segment for me. I'm not trying to blame him. This is the wave. AI is where this thing is headed. I am just uncomfortable with standing up and cheering for this on behalf of Kaepernick because I can only think or imagine the amount of creatives who could have a job if this was a traditional creator studio and not some AI powered thing. So that's my issue with it. Otherwise, I think if independent storytellers can seek out something like this, and it's, it allows them to be able to not get into bad deals, 360 deals,
right?
Sign deals with Hollywood studios or power brokers where they lose hold of the integrity of the art that they want to create, because now it's in the hands of these outside influences that can just basically bastardize whatever you want and take your idea and neuter it and turning it into something that you didn't want it to be turned into. That, of course, I'm going to champion that. I'm cool with that. But what I'm also not cool with is like not giving creatives the opportunity to continue to create. It is not a very pretty scene for creatives out here in the world. And I consider myself a creative. I fancy myself a creative, but there's lots of creatives in the world who don't have an avenue to express their own creativity or do what they do or do what they know how to do, to lend their talent to the world, because they're being replaced by an AI. And that to me is unfortunate. I hate that. But it is what it is. I can continue to complain about it. It ain't gonna stop this train from rolling. So,
Yeah.
Kaepernick's little AI platform can do what it does. Hopefully, these storytellers that are going to turn to his space in order to do it can retain as much of the financial benefit as possible from whatever it is that they create.
Yeah, and that's my wish, man. Again, I'm with you, bro. I'm not trying to bash this or per se bash Kaepernick for this. I'm weary of this AI stuff, man. It's so new, bro. And I want to see these people out here and their ideas get their just due. If Kaepernick, takes a little bit off the top like Amazon, that's fine. I'm still bulking 87% of the profit. I ain't gonna crab on that. Charge it to the game as far as being able to have the platform to generate, let's say, $70,000 for your idea. You know what I'm saying? I'm all for that, but my concern is the long-term effects of all of this, of your intellectual property. Because, God forbid if you created a Dr. Seuss level type thing and it's doing Dr. Seuss type numbers, who knows what these companies will do when they feel like they have the right to it just as much as you. When you try to take it off the platform and send it somewhere else, they say, no, we helped you make that, so it has to stay here. So we technically own 13% of that. I don't know how that goes. So I'm wishing the best for people, and I'm not trying to be cynical here. But I like your idea, man, when it came to like creating a platform where people can do that. Not so much that, I don't know if you were getting at that he would have to employ the people, but I like the idea of a creative studio where the creators can, all get together, kind of like Fiverr or any other similar website where you can just commission somebody that does this or does that. But also it provides the actual platform itself to upload whatever content, whether it be a movie or a series, books. So yes, people can get together on the back end, on the creator side, but there's also this Netflixian, audio bookian type of platform where you can go to watch everybody's Tubi level movies. You know what I'm saying? Where they actually created something out of this, but this was all made from this underground production studio, or this underground writer over here, and these series of writers. And everybody collaborated with each other to get a direct to consumer kind of content out there, where people might have to start being comfortable with, Tubi is like it's a meme, for Tubi level movies, but there's still people out there that's making these things and putting them out there. So people might have to start getting comfortable with this. And this is no shade, man, but like Hindi movies, not like Bollywood, but like those Hindi movies that's just shot and it's just in one house, or the Nigerian ones, or the Ethiopian ones, or the South American ones where it's just shot. It's very local stuff. The effects ain't good, but it's all about the story. I think Americans gonna have to start getting used to that, because what's going on in Hollywood right now is dinosaur crazy stuff that we don't want to see no more. So I think it's going to have to be more of a grassroots level of people making their own at home, creating that at home Hollywood type of thing, similar to what Tubi's doing, but without all the ratchetness and craziness, because my trepidations with those Tubi movies is not that there's black people create movies and trying to do their own thing. It's just the level of scandal that those movies is. It's like, come on, we got to do better than this. We actually got a platform where we actually getting stuff uploaded. Let's have some Negroes out of space for a change. I'm tired of all of this, sleeping with the grandfather, baby mama drama. Yeah, man. So hopefully all this stuff is on the up and up. But I'm with you 100%, man. Call me a old school millennial, man. But this stuff here gives me the creeps. And I would like to see this stuff play out for a few years before I put some of my real intellectual ideas on here, or things similar to it,
Yeah. No, yeah, I feel that, man. My thoughts are just always with these creatives. The various channels that I frequent on a daily basis, keeping myself up to date on things happening in certain markets and industries.
Mm-hmm.
It is very unfortunate the rate at which creatives are losing avenues with which to earn a living because they're being replaced by applications like this. And I think it's unfortunate. You're 30, 40, 50 years old and you're a talented designer and you're a graphic designer and this is what you've done your whole life and you're very good at what you do. You create fly stuff and you're being phased out because corporations and entrepreneurs and these venture capitalists and these world markets are basically diving all the way into these AI applications and you're just out of work. And that's the part that I think about. And part of this obviously is my sensibilities, working in the marketing field for as long as I did. I've worked around creatives my entire life. I've been around, and these people are very talented. Some of the most talented people I've ever seen in person, creating crazy stuff. Some of these graphic designers and these coders, these web developers, and people who are just surreal in terms of their level of talent to do this kind of stuff. And they're just one day, they're just not even going to be needed anymore.
Yep.
And that is very scary to me because what are these people supposed to do? Like, people need stuff to do. And if I feel like no one's thinking about that, everyone's just diving headfirst into how can we leverage AI for our own personal purposes. And no one's thinking about the existential long-term ramifications of it. That's how it feels to me. Everybody's just like, how can we leverage this now to get rich? And, what's going to happen at the end of the day? I feel for these creatives, man. I really do. People are going to need to learn, or rather figure out a way to pivot. People are going to have to figure out a realistic way for them to pivot. And some of those people are going to have to figure that out at 50, 60 years old, others at 20, 25. It runs the gamut. Wherever you are in your life, however old you are, no matter what your tenure is, wherever you are, or how long you've been doing something, when the bottom falls out or when, someone lets you know, hey, man, you've been laid off, it's like, what do I do? And my heart goes out to those people. I've been in that situation. It sucks, and no one deserves it. Especially you got these people out here who are lending their talents to create real cool things. They're paying their taxes. They're living right and they're doing what they're supposed to do. And they are nevertheless casualties to these market forces that are way beyond their control. And that I really do hate that. So again, to the storyteller who wants to utilize these kinds of resources, I'm not going to belittle that, but to these kinds of initiatives, that Kaepernick is getting off the ground, how many potential roles for other creatives is that replacing? That's my question. And it isn't his responsibility to figure that out. I get it. But at a certain point, it's going to have to be somebody's.
Yeah, man. So, hey, y'all, yeah, like you said, bro, if you 50 and you in the game, or you were in the game and now they taking you out, if you were that good, you know what I'm saying, of whipping it just on Photoshop or whatever type of thing you was doing, you know what I'm saying, you're gonna have to start whipping it with that, you know, or something else, or you know, just ride to get rolled on. Right now, this is a critical time in human history, man. This is a very critical time, and right now you have to ride or get rolled on, and this is for everybody. So yeah, ain't nothing safe out here, ain't nothing sweet, and I'm gonna tell you right now, ain't nothing guaranteed 5 years from now. I think everybody can pretty much see that now, and even jobs where people getting they, you know what I'm saying, they masters and stuff. And I mean, there's ways that I can see that a robot can do that.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I just got my master's and blah, blah. I'm like, bro, in 5 years, a robot going to be taking over the industry on that.
Yeah. None of that matters anymore.
Yeah. So y'all going to have to find a way, man, because there's going to be more Kaepernicks to come out with more AI applications. You know, find a way, y'all, and ride or get rolled on, but you know, you're going to have to make a play somewhere.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, shouts out to all of the creatives out there, man. You know, I'm with you. I'm with you, man. I'm with you in spirit, man. Creatives unite, man, for real, you know, because it is not sweet. It is not sweet.
Yeah, we're gonna get through it, y'all. We're gonna make it, man. You know what I'm saying? We always do.
Now, an interesting article on the juxtaposition of historical learning versus learning in the modern day sense. There was a recent study done which showed the difference between the way children learn now versus the way children learn in hunter-gatherer societies throughout history. So this is actually some pretty interesting stuff here. This says study helps explain how children learn for 99% of human history. Unlike kids in the United States, hunter-gatherer children in the Congo Basin have often learned how to hunt, identify edible plants, and care for babies by the tender age of 6 or 7. This rapid learning is facilitated by a unique social environment where cultural knowledge is passed down not just from parents, but from the broader community. According to a new Washington State University-led study in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, the research helps explain how many cultural traits have been preserved for thousands of years among hunter-gatherer groups across a wide range of natural environments in Africa. We focus on hunter-gatherers because this way of life characterized 99% of human history. Our bodies and minds are adapted to this intimate small group living rather than to contemporary urban life. By examining how children in these societies learn, we aim to uncover the mechanisms that have allowed humans to adapt to diverse environments across the globe. For the study, Hewlett and colleagues used observational and ethnographic data to examine 9 different modes of cultural transmission, meaning from whom and how children learn in hunter-gatherer societies. Their analysis reveals that members related to a child's extended family have likely played a greater role in transmitting knowledge to children than previously thought. Additionally, the study shows about half of the cultural knowledge hunter-gatherer children and adolescents acquire comes from people they are not related to. This contrasts with previous studies on the topic that have more heavily emphasized the transmission of knowledge from parent to child. Hewlett explains that the findings are likely due in large part to how children in hunter-gatherer societies learn from a variety of sources, including parents, peers, and even unrelated adults in the community. This contrasts with the Western nuclear family model, where learning is often centered around parents or teachers in a formalized school setting. So let me skip a little bit further down to the bottom. Moving forward, Hewlett hopes that this research offers a more nuanced understanding of the nature of social learning in humans and how cultures in general are conserved and changed over time. His co-authors on the study are so on and so forth. So pretty interesting article. All relevant links, of course, will be in the description of this video. This approach to learning contributes to what we call cumulative culture, the ability to build on existing knowledge and pass it down through generations. Unlike in many non-human animals, where social learning is limited to a few skills, humans have developed complex mental and social structures that allow for the transmission of thousands of cultural traits. This has enabled us to innovate and adapt to various environments, from dense forests to arid deserts. So essentially, this article is discussing the value of traditional hunter-gatherer societies and how that creates, or rather curates, an environment for learning in children and adolescents that we see has contributed to the way Western cultures learn, but has also deviated from it at the same time. I think is the point that it was trying to make there.
Mhm.
So, what do you make of this particular study when it comes to the transmission of learned traits and shared learning and education in like hunter-gatherer societies?
Yeah, man, I thought this was real interesting, man, because as it says, at the top there, it says 99% of human history, which means that this has been going on for a long time, and this is how children learn. And honestly, I would also add, this is how they learn in the West as well, because what they were doing was observing what was going on in hunter-gatherer situations, and they were witnessing that the kids were being more autonomous. They were just out there doing their thing and just learning from peers, other elders or whoever, people that was picking berries or whatever. They would know which berries to pick, that kind of situation. So kids inherently have this mechanism in them where they want to learn from their surroundings. And a child being taught by more than just their parents is crucial to the child's overall development. And if this has been going on for 99% of human history, I would argue that it's still going on because this is an inherent trait that are within children, period. And so I would also throw over that if kids are still doing that here in the West, they're still learning from their parents and other stuff now. Whatever's on that TV is the new elder. That's the new person picking that berry. So they don't have that person that's the neighbor or the second cousin or whoever that to just watch and observe to learn how their marriage works. Now, mom is watching Law and Order, SVU, and Ice-T just ran across a body that's been raped. Now, this kid is learning that because children observe and absorb. Observe and absorb. That's why children more or less have the tendency of their primary caregiver, because they've been learning how their primary caregiver deals with conflicts, deals with stress, deals with success, learn how to be successful, because they're constantly learning and adopting and going, oh, okay, you know what I'm saying? You pick up that and put it in your mouth and eat it, I'll do the same. And people think it's the cutest thing ever, but the kids are literally just observing and replicating, observing and replicating. So when they were saying with these hunter-gatherer kids that they would know how to, find the right berries, know how to take care of children, do other things by the age of 6 or 7, because the only thing they've been doing was being observant and seeing what everybody else was doing. And as they said, the culture allowed them to be autonomous enough, meaning that they didn't coddle them or nothing. They say, hey man, go out there and figure it out. Or you're 4 years old, this is how you do it. The hell? 4 years old is just a concept to them, in the sense of you're already a human, you're not limited because you're 4. So that's why they would know how to do things by the age of whatever. And those things are still going on today in children, but they're being blocked off from certain things. They're not allowed to be autonomous in a lot of ways. They're being sheltered in a lot of ways, and now they're observing and replicating a lot of dangerous stuff that people call entertainment. So I would also caveat, all of this stuff, just adding on honestly to what they were saying. But I would also say that I don't think it's just unique to hunter-gatherer children of that's how people learn. I think that's how everybody learns. But in the hunter-gatherer sense, they're not sitting there drilling into them particular types of things. They're allowing them to watch their elders who already have a rich understanding of culture and understanding and mimic that, because then you'll fall in line. But the kids today are mimicking what the chaos that they're seeing on social media, entertainment, and stuff like that, and then they grow up to be DDG. But that's how I look at it, man. But what are your thoughts, man, on this study here with these hunter-gatherer kids with a different type of learning style? What are your thoughts, bro?
Yeah, I think the value of being able to observe other people in your community and not just those in your immediate environment is a value that has been lost, because I think now it still happens in pockets, but in mass, there's less children outside playing in the neighborhood. Technology has replaced what used to be that in the westernized version. Agreed. So like for me, when I was growing up as a kid, my hunter-gatherer autonomy was in, right around 5.
We were hunter-gatherer autonomous, man.
yeah. Like the westernized version of hunter-gatherer autonomous, I would say right around the time that I was right around maybe between 5 and 6 p.m. every day, my mother would come home. And as soon as my mother came home, I was out of the door. So I was out of the door and I wouldn't come home until, it was dark and the lights were on. But in the midst of me daily being outside, I was around other peers in the immediate environment. But not only that, I was in the household of my peers as well. So I wasn't only observing the marriage of my parents, I was observing the marriage of my friends' parents too. I was observing the sibling relationships of my friends and their siblings, because I was in their house playing with them with their toys, playing their video games, riding bikes with them, and doing all that good stuff. It impressed upon me how to take pieces of what I was learning when I was in those moments back with me to my own nuclear environment. And it helped to inform me on how to be a more well-rounded individual. Albeit I was still a child, a lot of those things subconsciously were being impressed upon me. So whether it was the foods, whether it was the stuff they watched on TV, whether it was how they gathered around the dinner table. For example, I had a friend of mine who was a Jehovah's Witness. They lived right 3 doors away. I could literally walk to their house, right? And so I had that dichotomy of I'm at home in my house where my mom is a missionary Baptist and we're doing things the way we do it, and I'm eating the foods that she cooks. But then every now and again, I'm at his house and I'm eating their food and I'm seeing what they like to watch on TV, and how when it's time to eat at the dinner table, they're turning the TV off and they're just talking to each other and they're doing all of these different things. And I'm seeing how his parents won't buy him any violent video games, or how his mom won't allow him to play with any violent toys or anything of that nature. That was diametrically opposed to the way that I was coming up, but it gave me a different perspective. I feel like less and less these days, as children are more inward and they're not outside as much, there's less of that community aspect of everybody's just out playing with each other and doing this and doing that physically, actively. There's less of an opportunity for that kind of subconscious impression on the mind to take place. And I think that those kinds of things help to make children more well-rounded, or rather it gives them a more well-rounded perspective and allows them to be a more whole human being as an adult. You sort of take bits and pieces of what you get from other environments and you bring it into what you're seeing in your own environment. And it just helps to make you a more culturally well-rounded individual, which in my opinion makes people better, more well-rounded people.
Agreed.
And so I think that's what's being lost. And as primitive as hunter-gatherer societies are, the children are nevertheless still being raised within that communal context. So there are certain skill sets and dispositions that they develop as a result, which help to make them more productive people.
Correct.
And help to make them more, I would say, psychologically stable as well. So that's kind of what I took from that piece. And generationally, this is something that is just kind of dying off as we continue to devolve. Being more reliant and dependent upon technology and becoming more deranged. Because I know a lot of, seriously, like I know a lot of parents, for example, who are reticent to just let their kid go out and play
Yeah.
because people are crazy out here. Like
Yeah.
you don't know if your kid's going to be in the wrong place at the wrong time,
Right.
and some weirdo psycho person does some weirdo psycho stuff.
Right.
So it's all a sign of the times, and it's unfortunate. But I do think that the findings of that study make a lot of sense. Maybe on the western end, not hunter gatherer from the standpoint that I'm in the wilderness, learning
Right.
how to like hunt a deer per se. Although I do think that that's a valuable skill too.
Right.
But hunter gatherer from the standpoint that as a kid you're being allowed to just go, and during those 3 hours a day when you're out going, you're picking up certain things and you're learning certain things, and certain things are subconsciously being impressed upon you, and then you bring it back with you and you learn from those things and you get the chance to do that again tomorrow
Yeah.
and the next day and the next day and the next day. And unfortunately that's been lost because we're industrialized and we're technology dependent and AI dependent and afraid of the crazies. So it is what it is, man. Hopefully we can sort of learn from that kind of stuff, and maybe we will experience a renaissance where the craziness can be dialed back, as well as the dependency upon technology can be dialed back, so that kids can get the opportunity to go outside more often than not. But right now, I can understand how that's disappeared, but it certainly needs to be brought back to the forefront of relevancy, in my opinion, a lot more than it is now.
Yeah, agreed, man. And and that's social autonomy now, man, is all online. So, not being able to roam around in the front yard, but roam around in your phone, that's what's going on right now. Or roam around on your Xbox Live or whatever PlayStation got, and you just chatting it up with the other degenerates online. You know what I'm saying? Just saying the most, crazy stuff because everything's crazy online. And that's how they're getting socialized. The lockdown in 2020 didn't help either when it came to people being more indoors as well. So I think this study shows how this type of learning, this type of socialization can help a group of people last for thousands of years. And they've sustained their way of living for thousands of years because of this way of living. And I think what's interesting right now is that we have gone the other direction here in the West or any other westernized culture. Their socialization is going more digital. And we're already seeing some of the social ramifications of that. So I don't know if that's going to be lasting thousands of years. So there needs to be some level of community that gets built again. I'm with you, man. You can't let your kids run out in the front yard no more, as crazy as that sound in some respects. You know what I'm saying? Like, this ain't the 80s, even though kids was getting snatched up there too.
Yeah.
It's just a different day and age with the weird stuff, dude. So I understand when parents, have those concerns too. I guess the best way to do it, having some type of clubs and organizations that are, clean, so they can get different levels of perspective on life. And it's not just, online gaming or just school stuff. They're getting, some like-minded interests with people. They're seeing other ways of being, but clearly there is a wealth in understanding different perspectives other than your parents, apparently. And if these people have been thriving for thousands of years because they live like this and the trajectory to live more thousands of years like that, I think it's best to adopt some of that stuff back into our culture. Maybe we'll have less of these situations where we're on this platform constantly saying how people need to get back to some type of normality.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. There's definitely some value in that for sure. I kind of interpreted hunter gatherer as just like hunter gatherer in the westernized sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not. Well, I do. Like I said, I do need to learn how to hunt. I do want to learn how to hunt. But besides that, like the aspect of just being out in the community and just sort of being ingratiated with
Right.
other people,
Right.
not your immediate household, other households, other parents, other relationships, other marriages, other sibling relationships,
Right.
these various interpersonal dynamics. It helps to be able to glean those in person and to be
Mm-hmm.
around it. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what I think has been lost.
Right.
So, it is what it is, man. But yeah, I get it. I get it. I know like right now, like Halloween, for example, like trick or treating was a
Ain't the
thing when
same.
I was a kid,
Yeah,
and I'll
dude.
just be out there trick or treating with my buddies. I didn't really have my parents with me.
Right.
Now you be damned if you're a parent and you're gonna let your kid go out trick or treating alone. Like no
Which is
way.
which is
It's just
insane, dog.
yeah, it's crazy stuff, bro. And it's like if or what I've seen is a lot of parents will just take their kids to like an event somewhere, like a large public, like something at a park or another
Mm-hmm.
public venue where they're hosting like a Halloween event, for example, where
Mm-hmm.
there's just going to be hundreds of kids and parents and chaperones, and
Mm-hmm.
then you just let them have their Halloween fun there. But the old school mode that I came up on of just like I got my costume, me and my
Yeah.
friends, we gonna meet up, go outside, and I'll be back home in a couple of hours. You can't do it anymore. You
Nah.
can't. And unfortunately, there's a lot of things getting lost in translation as a result.
Yeah. Agreed, man. Hey, man, you sounded like Dave Chappelle there when he said, "You're a hunter gatherer, correct?" That's one of my favorite ones too,
I learned about you in social studies. Oh,
man.
the funniest stand up in the history of stand up, man. I'm sorry. Dave Chappelle, for what it's worth, from way back in 2004.
Comedy gold.
My all-time favorite stand-up, man. Go check that out.
Yeah, man. Oh Lord.
Oh boy, now we got Tyrese, man. Tyrese, who is a friend of the channel. Tyrese, an individual who I am feeling more and more sorry for. With each passing chance that we use him as a point of reference on the channel. Once again, Tyrese is unmuting to express how he is dug in on not allowing his baby mamas to take any of his wealth. Tyrese is enthralled in child support disputes, and he's trying to figure out the best way possible for him to be able to not fork over everything that he has worked hard to earn, because the state has determined that it will take a percentage away from him that it deems appropriate due to things like child support. And Tyrese is just not, he refuses. He refuses to allow this to happen to him. And he's talked about it before multiple times, and this is no different. And so this says Tyrese claims he'll shoot, stab, and kill to protect wealth from baby mamas.
Oh, brother.
Tyrese Gibson has had a very public and very difficult couple of months. The entertainer was arrested in September after refusing to send child support payments to his ex. People magazine reported the Fast and Furious star owed a whopping $74,000 in back child support. The drama was reignited on November 18th. However, the entertainer went after the mother of his children on Instagram. He also assured them that he was not going to be giving up the money he's earned. Tyrese took to social media to set the record straight on his stance. He addressed Samantha Lee and Norma Mitchell, the mother of his children. Baby mama 1 and 2, I ain't giving you nothing. Like I fought to earn this life. I'ma fight to keep it. I'ma shoot, stab, and kill over mine. I'm gonna protect this bottom line at all costs. I earned it, and I'm gonna protect it. This is not the first time Tyrese Gibson has planted his flag in the sand with regards to his fortune. In August, the former singer went on The Breakfast Club to pontificate on all the money he's lost throughout the years. I've lost so much of this stuff. He admitted, I done spent $500,000 on effing watch. Let's see. I don't lose no sleep over trying to win the popularity contest, showing up with all this jewelry that I'm gonna leave on the nightstand, he said. Despite being adamant that he will maintain his wealth, Tyrese has also vowed to provide for his kids. The entertainer clarified his stance in a heartfelt post. The love that a father can have for his children can't quite be explained. Whatever the outcome is today, I am and will forever be their father. So here is Tyrese letting his baby mamas know that he will not be giving up any of his wealth to them because he fought hard to earn this and he does not want to give it up.
Baby mama number 1 and 2. If you ain't learned already, I ain't giving you shit. Like I fought to earn this life, I'm gonna fight to keep it. Not giving it away to nobody. Ain't nobody gonna take this. I'm gonna shoot, stab, and kill over mine. And I'm gonna protect this bottom line at all cost. I've earned it, and I'm gonna protect it. I'm gonna protect it as hard as I've earned it. That goes for all my homies, anybody in my family, anybody I ever marry again. If you think I'm about to just give it to you after I worked this hard to get it, you definitely got me confused. You definitely got the wrong one.
Oh boy. Now Tyrese has also gone on record saying that he believes that his most recent baby mother, Samantha Lee, was in it for the money. He has said that. That's not me saying that. He said that. He said that he believes that she was in it for the money. Tyrese, man, I feel bad for this guy, but what do you make of this latest proclamation from him that he will shoot, stab, kill? I don't think he means that literally. Or
I agree. I mean, I don't think he literally meant that. But when you say that, and you're dealing with somebody like how he makes her come out to be, she will use that against you.
Yeah.
So if that's how you feel, you don't say that out loud. You damn sure don't say it to the internet, because now it's been immortalized. So, but this is quintessential Tyrese Gibson. You know, in the Meek Mill school of, hey man, let's take this dude's phone. DDG is creeping up in that thing too. Let me take your phone, bro, because you're just gonna say something crazy. And here's Tyrese again. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure he just had a little episode or something where, you know, he's just quite frankly had enough and he had to air this out. But you know, this falls into the category of you got to take this on the chin, bro. And you're gonna have to swallow this, bro. I'm sorry, dude. You can't. The only fight that you got is with your lawyers. You know what I'm saying? You go in the war room with them and y'all try to scheme up something to you know, pay her less or whatever. But honestly, bro, you talking like this, you might have to end up paying her more when her lawyers get a hold of this. So yeah, man, you can only fight this legally. If that's draining you and you're tired of that, I'm sorry, bro. This is the price you gotta pay. And yeah, you fought hard to earn this. I mean, you know, this guy's been a celebrity for more than half his life. He sacrificed a lot, I'm sure, to get in this position. And it's being taken away by a woman he slept with, which is insane. Boy, that's an expensive nut, boy. That is outrageous. But to tie this into the DDG topic, man, this is what you signed up for, because we see this woman, we see what she's about.
Yeah.
And he saw what she was about. And What he was about that. Well, this is what you pay for when you deal with that.
Literally.
Yes, literally. Figuratively and literally. It's disgusting. She's a nasty human, I'm sure of it. I'm pretty sure they had some nasty conversations behind closed doors. And I'm pretty sure she was rubbing it in his face of how she gonna take more money or do whatever. I'm pretty sure she got as grimy as it gets with this. And for all intents and purposes, he has every right to feel how he feels. But this is the consequence that you deal with when you deal with a human like that. And of course, everybody loves the child. It's never about the child. It's always about the nasty person that you had it with. And if you can't deal with that, I'm sorry, it's too late. So you're gonna have to find peace in this life somehow, because she's gonna find every way to tear it from you. And the best thing that you can do to stick it to her is to be at peace while she's still taking your money, because she double wins when she took your check and your heart and your soul, because that's what she's doing right now. Because the man look crazy online. So she's winning on all facets of the game, special teams, offense, and defense. And you sitting there looking like a crazy person. So my suggestion is, I'm not above any of this. Life goes on, man, and it hits people crazy and it comes at you fast. But one thing you got to tell yourself is that your peace is more valuable than what's ever in your bank account. And if you're willing to lose your peace because somebody is trying to drain your bank account, then you've missed the plot. So, but that's easier said than done for Mr. Gibson, because apparently he's figuratively or literally willing to stab, pow, or unalive somebody over his checks. But what are your thoughts, man, on Tyrese Gibson going out on the internet, either figuratively or literally, speaking on violence just because his money getting taken, man? How do you feel about this, man? Yeah, I know, dude.
It's so sad. But I have to be consistent.
You got to be consistent, because you gave it to DDG, bro.
I gave it to DDG. I gave it to Safari.
Yeah.
I got to give it to Tyrese, bro.
Yeah, man.
Bro, you're going to have to eat this. And you're going to have to accept responsibility for the fact that you are the primary reason that you find yourself in this situation.
That's right. There you go.
I gotta be consistent, man. I gotta be consistent. Like, men have to exhibit better judgment. At the end of the day, I'm gonna die on that hill. Because had he done that, he wouldn't be here. He just wouldn't be here. Like, that's the thing about it. I said this when we discussed Safari.
Mm-hmm.
Sex is going to happen if the woman says so.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
After that, everything else happens because the man allows it.
Mm-hmm.
After sex, marriage happens because the man allows it. Commitment happens because the man allows it. Relationships happen because the man allows it. Children happen because the man allows it. And by allowing it with the children, I mean shooting the club up.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by that.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, outside of like the physical act, outside of that, everything else in this dynamic, men are gatekeepers for it. So Tyrese was the gatekeeper for getting her pregnant. Tyrese was the gatekeeper for marrying her. Yes. Tyrese was the gatekeeper for committing to her.
Yes, all of that.
And it's like, bro, you have to eat that, bro. You just do, man. I'm sorry. But if men still, even in 2024, with all of these weird social media conversations going on, with this neoliberalism, even with all of this neoliberalism take place, we still want to try and make it seem as though men are supposed to be the head of a household. So if men are supposed to be the head of a household, men have to also accept responsibility for family dynamics playing out the way they do.
Yeah.
You're the leader. When a professional team, when a sports franchise is bad, they fire the coach. They don't get rid of the players.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The head coach gets the axe. Unless it's clear that there's a particular player that's a malcontent, the blame for this is usually falls on the head coach. Fire the coach.
Mm-hmm.
Like, bro, you're the leader in this situation. You have to accept responsibility for this. And look, man, I get it, bro. I'm with you. I feel bad for him. I do. But at the same time, it's like, bro, where was your vetting filter? Where was it's like, look,
yeah.
And the thing about this is, I think the last time we talked about this, I think I made the point, like, she exhibited all of the characteristics that any sound man should question.
Yes, dude.
Like, she's an influencer on social media. She was a bartender.
Oh.
Like, those two things alone. She's an influencer on social media. She's a bartender. She has like, I'm looking at her Instagram real quick. She has 638,000 followers on Instagram. If you look through her Instagram, there's a lot of it where she's being, I guess, inspirational, if you want to call it that. But then a lot more of it is just her being pretty.
Yep.
She's showing off her fitness transformation. She likes to leverage her body and all these kinds of things. Like, look, man, you can call that whatever you want, but I don't think it is beyond the pale for any man who's considering a woman to look at those kinds of things and at least question it. At the end of the day, as a man, if you make the decision to marry a woman who traffics in attention-seeking behavior, thereby the likelihood of the relationship going left because of that, you're going to have to take inventory on the fact that you made the initial decision to make the commitment. Like, bro, I'm sorry, Tyrese. I get it. She sucks. She's probably a horrible person to co-parent with.
Yeah.
I'm sure she did a lot to contribute to the fact that it's the way that it is now.
Mm-hmm.
But how did you contribute to it? It's
right.
a series of unfortunate events, but they cascade off of one another. And if I am to believe that men are in positions of leadership when it comes to the household and the family unit, I have to look at you, bro. I got to be consistent, man. I got to be consistent. You say all the time when we talk about stuff like this, if you're really about that life and you really want a wife and you really want to raise a family and you really want to do the right thing and do right by this, it's almost to the point where your level of scrutiny has to be extraordinarily high. And you almost have to get with a chick who's off the grid and a nerd to know for a fact that these are various pitfalls that you can sidestep.
Exactly.
And what's clear to me is these guys don't care about that.
No, they don't.
They don't. They're looking at the face and the body and they're saying permission granted.
Exactly.
So it's like, bro, Tyrese, you're responsible for this, man. You're going to have to pay that tax. Until the laws get changed, bro, you're paying that tax. It gives me no pleasure in saying this. I hate the fact that I'm talking like this. But responsibility and accountability have to be had here. And this is where we are with this. I feel for the guy. I think it sucks. I feel bad for him. I really do. But Tyrese, this is your responsibility, bro. And largely it's your fault. So
yeah, I mean, and don't get it twisted now. You know what I'm saying? Because whenever I talk about off the grid, I'm talking about a overall mentality, a holistic mentality of how that person views life.
Yeah,
how they handle conflicts, how they think of themselves, how all of that stuff. And the byproduct of that is less social media use.
yes.
It's less housewife contents digested. It's like a whole bunch of side effects that are positive because they are off the grid. Right. And then there's women that are on the grid and they have all the byproducts of someone who is on the grid. And they take a lot of selfies like this. That her whole Instagram's like that. Like you said, just selling the fact that she's pretty, for the next buyer. Because some jackass is going to be dumb enough to buy on this. Somebody is. and she's going to allow herself to be pregnant by the one that can afford to pay for a lifestyle for her.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's her reproductive rights for you. You know what I'm saying? Because it ain't gonna be no Pookie that do it.
Yeah.
Because she'll let a Pookie hit, but she'll take care of that. But if a Tyrese comes along or any other jackass that has the capital to fund a lifestyle, it's her reproductive rights that she's gonna do what she does with that and hit the court.
Even if it's a guy who got a whole bunch of other situations just like it.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Cam Newton, she'll be right in line to be baby mama number 6 for Cam Newton.
Because she did the math on that.
Yeah.
And this is another paycheck that I can get. But you know, Pookie and Ray Ray that's shooting up the club with her too. Oh, she'll take care of that. Don't worry about that, because I'm pretty sure she's done that. And or anybody else like this that's on the grid like this. So these guys have to learn. This is a valuable lesson. And she doesn't have to be. So this is for the famous people out here that's dealing with this type of stuff. But for the average everyday man, I mean, she could be busted up and on the grid. You know what I'm saying? So looks don't necessarily correlate to grid action. So you have to be mindful and, like you say, take an inventory of who you're dealing with. You have to know who you're dealing with. But in order to know who you're dealing with, like you said in the DDG situation, you have to know who the hell you are.
Yes. Yeah.
And if you know who you are and you know what you want, then you can pick out the crazy stuff that this person's saying. And if you still choose to lay down with that person, then you can't do a Tyrese and cry foul later.
Yeah.
And so this whole thing here, man, it's like, sorry, Tyrese, you should have seen this after the first situation. So to allow this woman to come in and swindle you the same way, something tells me there could be a third. Because this man still hasn't learned his lesson. And I bet he's still shooting up clubs. Yeah. So, hey, man, you know what I'm saying? Charge it to the game, as I say. You know what I'm saying? Tyrese, you got the money for this. So stop crabbing for it, pay your taxes, bro, and move the hell on. You know what I'm saying? Sorry, bro. You got to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And the part of you making sure that you get more secure checks in the future is less of this behavior online. Because right now, you know what I'm saying? I don't know what you're looking like right now besides like a sideshow. So because I'm pretty sure his rep in Hollywood or anywhere else, man, was pretty clean with all that Fast and the Furious stuff and him being an R&B sensation. Now he's a social media meltdown machine that's just one step away from whatevering. You know what I'm saying? So cautionary tale. And I think everybody should look at these guys as exhibits. If a guy's already in a situation similar to this, don't get yourself in another one. All right. It just is what it is, man. And pay your taxes and keep it moving.
Yeah, I feel for the guy. You know, I can say I feel bad for him and also say it's his fault at the same time.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm doing. And you know, to anybody who's gonna have an issue, there might be some people who are like, you know, a woman can do whatever she wants with her social media. That don't mean, look, listen. Okay, from a man's perspective, there is a correlation between the type of woman who would make for the ideal mate or life partner and what her life behaviors and habits are.
Right.
Correlations with that. So it isn't overtly saying we don't want a woman who's not on social media or who doesn't have a lot of social media followers. It's that innately that type of character trait that we are looking for is inherent in the type of woman who in all likelihood doesn't traffic in attention on her social media.
Thank you.
It's that simple. You know, it's that simple. It's not all that complicated. And I think you know what, and I think people know what we mean by that. So, you know, it just is what it is, man. But it sucks. It really does. But he's gonna have to pay that. He's going to have to pay that. Either pay it or get full custody, bro. It's one or the other, Tyrese. Like I'm assuming you have a higher net worth than her. I'm assuming your annual income is greater than hers. If it really is that contentious, then petition for full custody. Make it to where you have full custody and she gets visitation.
Right.
But if you're still trying to do this rigmarole where you're complaining about her and trying to fend off having to pay her child support, but you're also not trying to get full custody, I don't know which to believe. Like, which is it? So guys need to make better choices. At the end of the day, we got to make better choices, man. I'm going to say that until my face is blue, but it's the truth. We just got to do better. We got to make better choices.
Tighten up, Tyrese. Tighten up.
Oh, man, it's frustrating. All right, last but not least, we are going to get into J. Cole bigging up one of his musical idols, Kanye West, despite the fact that Kanye has been throwing a lot of shade J. Cole's way in recent times. So let me get this screen up real quick. So J. Cole recently started a podcast. Let's see here. So
word, he got a podcast now?
Yeah, recently. He literally just started it. So it's nothing. Okay. It's like a brand new thing. But yeah, J. Cole recently started a new podcast. And during that podcast, he talked about Kanye being one of his favorite artists because Kanye showed him how he can be himself as a rapper and talk about the way that some of the things that he wants to talk about or talk about his life, even though it is not the archetype for the way a lot of his favorite rappers talked about their life. He says that Kanye kind of showed him the way for being able to do that. And he bigs up Kanye for that, even though Kanye hasn't had very many nice things to say about J. Cole recently. So this says, J. Cole praises favorite artist Kanye West amidst ongoing feud. J. Cole is taking stock of his career and his place in the rap game. The Dreamville founder recently launched the podcast Inevitable. It will give Cole the chance to talk about the making of his most iconic songs, as well as build anticipation for his final album, The Fall Off. Naturally, the rapper kicked things off by discussing his debut mixtape, The Warm Up Volume 1. It was during the discussion of this tape that Cole decided to wax poetic on the importance of Kanye West, an artist who has mocked him repeatedly in the last 8 months. Kanye West's influence on J. Cole has never been a secret. The latter rapped on 3 West beats on the Warm-Up Volume 1. Cole also used Ye's classic Last Call as the template for his 2009 mixtape, The Warm-Up, as well as his 2014 album, 2014 Forest Hill Drive. J. Cole is and always will be a son of Kanye West, and he said as much during the first episode of Inevitable. He became my favorite artist. He kind of cracked my mind open. Kanye was the first time I saw myself in somebody. He just made it possible to talk about your life or regular perspectives in a way that's appealing. I didn't know how to talk about my life. And then effing Kanye West happened. Let's see. Play J. Cole. I didn't know how to talk, blah, 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 blah. It was touching to hear the Dreamville honcho reflect on such a formative moment in his career. It's also a somewhat odd time to share this information. After all, Kanye West insulted J. Cole on the Like That remix in April. Play J. Cole, get the pussy dry, he rapped. Play this stuff back 130 times. West doubled down on this stance during an appearance on the Download podcast. West felt that Cole was a pussy for apologizing to Kendrick Lamar amidst the Big 3 beef. F all that stuff, because like an N-word J. Cole went on tour with Drake. He know what it is. You can't put Cole and up in the same sentence. J. Cole's comments on the Inevitable podcast marked the first time he has spoken about Kanye West since these insults were made. Obviously, the rapper is opting to take the high ground, and focus on cementing his legacy. So here is some audio from that episode of J. Cole's podcast in which he talks about Kanye.
Finding was I was an aggressive battle rapper, right? That had like bars, and I was a storyteller of like fantasy, like The Storm, like completely made up scenarios, whether it be a love story, like a movie. I had that, but my life was actually hella regular. I didn't sell no drugs. You know what I mean? It was nothing like my favorite rappers. You know what I mean? Like it was nothing like Jay-Z life looked like. It was nothing like fucking Pac life appeared to be. You know what I mean? It wasn't nothing gangster about it. So I had a hard time finding seeing myself as somebody, you know what I mean? That the lifestyle portion was kind of like I didn't get it. I didn't know how to talk about my life in a way that was like that
people could connect
with, or even I could. And then fucking Kanye West happened right before I went to college. In the summer of 2003, before I went to college, the Through the Wire video dropped. And that shit changed my life, first of all. And then I became like a massive Kanye fan. And Kanye was the first time that I saw myself in somebody damn near where it was like, oh, wait, this nigga just like made it possible to talk about your life or your regular ass perspective in a way that's like appealing and like in a way that like, you know what I mean? Like this nigga became like my favorite artist at that point. So he kind of cracked my mind open. So then when I did jump back in, or right before my sophomore year, I didn't know it, but I had developed the angle. And this was the.
All right, there you go. So he credits Kanye with being able to allow him a way to, you know, speak on his life. So what do you think about that?
You know, respect to him taking a high road there. You know, bigging the man up, even though he called him a P word and said that you can't put colon up in the same sentence. That's crazy.
Kind of harsh. Yeah, it's harsh. Harsh.
But shout out to Cole, you know, doing his thing as always, taking the high road. I had mentioned this before about talking whenever we were talking about J. Cole. This guy, man, he really put in perspective that I think that there's something in being born in a particular year or being born in a particular cohort, because he thinks, I mean, just like me in a lot of ways. And, you know, I've also talked on here before about my journey whenever I was trying to make music, was that, you know, I can talk the battle stuff and, you know, I can talk stuff, but it wasn't stuff that I lived because I didn't live the life that the industry was talking about. And so I had to have a situation with myself of what do I do? And much like J. Cole here, you know, Kanye, he did provide a lane for people that didn't have all of this crazy street stuff going on in their life. But when I heard J. Cole's album, mixtape, the warm up, man, I mean, I played that back and forth, man. To this day, I still think that's his best work, if you ask me. And I mean, it was great. It was a breath of fresh air, because it was literally like, damn, this is what I would have did if I had access to these beats, production, and all this. I mean, just every word, damn near. So I know exactly where he's coming from, and I feel that. But it also sounds like J. Cole struggled still with that thing that I was telling you that I had, in the sense of which lane should I play. And it seemed like he would always grapple with that, which lane should he play, so much so that he ended up being on stage with Drake. You know what I'm saying? Making songs like Grippy and doing other things where he's like, what are you doing, bro? You know what I'm saying? Like, why are you doing this? Because he feels like he's got to be something instead of being himself. And I think that's what got him in trouble with all of this stuff. That's what put him in the position to even get to take shots from Kendrick. That's what put him in a position to make might delete this later. So, you know, he has this thing that I don't feel like he's ever gotten over, that complex of feeling like he's gotta be a certain way or do a certain thing in order to be on. So this is, to me, is quite telling, if you ask me. I had that thing going on too, man. So I know exactly where he's coming from, but I drew a firm line in the sand that I'm not gonna say that on a song. I'm just not. and it got to the point where it's like, well, what the hell can I say? So I barely made any damn thing because man, you can talk some conscious stuff and try to open eyes and stuff, but people don't want to hear that. You know what I'm saying? The conditioning is crazy. So, trying to make a bop that people could also spend their brains to, I was finding a hard time finding that lane. And I know that, J. Cole has pressure from labels and other interests that say we need another hit. You know what I'm saying? Everything gonna be, these soulful songs that you made that made the radio. We need a banger. And then, so he'll come out and start talking about, itches and O's. You know what I'm saying crazy stuff and N-word in every other song and talking about gun bars.
Even though he's married, right?
Even though, he did that.
Yeah,
so,
he still does.
Yeah, so that's the thing where I feel as though he comes off as not authentic as much to certain people and feels like he can have shots taken at him by the likes of Kanye. But what are your thoughts, man, on J. Cole, man, giving Kanye some props here instead of I don't know, going back and forth with him? I think he just took the high road there. What are your thoughts, man?
I appreciate his comments, but they affirm what I've always said about him, which is he's an identity crisis rapper.
Yeah.
I've always said that him and Wale, to me, are the poster children for identity crisis rap.
Wale crazy, boy.
They can't find out where their greatest level of comfort is. As soon as they get in one lane, they say, oh, I got to jump in this one. And as soon as they get in that other one, they like, oh, this isn't who I am. I need to jump back over here. Wale has oscillated up and down the pendulum so many times throughout his career. I thought when he was the most himself, he made that album. What was the name of it? It was like, This Is Crazy Wow, or Wow, That's Crazy, or it's called something like that. That's Crazy Wow, I think, or whatever. I thought that was the most authentically Wale. And with J. Cole, like maybe his last one, what is it called? The Off Season, I think. Maybe that was the one where I thought that he was the most like authentically himself throughout the whole thing, But for the most part, he's always been an identity crisis rapper to me. Like, I want to be the guy who's on that introspective stuff, but I still want to be in the street getting hoes all the time. Yeah. Like I said before, I feel like there's a part of J. Cole that wishes he was Drake. That's why he makes music with him, I think. Because J. Cole wishes he was Drake, but he doesn't have Drake's makeup. He's not Drake. Drake is a different animal in terms of his personality and his values and his principles and his morals and his ethics. And Cole knows that. But despite knowing that, he still would like to be the dude. I really do believe that J. Cole, and no shade, J. Cole, I'm just saying, from an outsider's perspective, from a listener's perspective, I've always felt like J. Cole would like to be the guy who was getting with the strippers and the Instagram models and doing all of that stuff that Drake does. But he doesn't have it in him. And that's not, I don't mean that as an insult. I actually mean it as a compliment.
Okay.
I mean that as a compliment that he doesn't have it in him. He doesn't have it in him. I mean that as a compliment. Because you know what I think about Drake. I think Drake is a soulless vessel.
Yeah,
I don't think Drake is a real person. I think Drake is an avatar. So
agreed.
so like I don't think Drake has any principles or ethics. I just think Drake wants to be a rock star rapper. That's what I think Drake cares about. Drake reminds me. See, I think J. Cole got girls in high school. Like I think in high school J. Cole was able to get girls on his own merit.
Yeah.
Drake, on the other hand, was not getting girls in high school.
Agreed.
That's why he goes ape shit now, because now that he has all of this clout and money and fame, he's just gonna run roughshod on women because he wants to get payback for what he couldn't get without that stuff. I don't see J. Cole in that light. I feel like J. Cole was getting women when he was broke. So I kind of feel like J. Cole dips and dabs, but these comments, nevertheless, I respect them because I get it. Kanye probably gave him a source of inspiration for how he can figure out the way to best toe that line to be himself as much as he can and find a way to sonically deliver the kind of commentary through his music that he wants without feeling as though he has to cop out to street rap or tough guy rap or womanizing rap. Unlike Drake, who Drake to this day, even though we know this is not who this guy is, will still get on rap songs talking about who he's getting rid of on his, or, you know, who he's getting off on ops and doing all of this tough guy rap.
To this day.
And by the way, do y'all Drake fans really buy this stuff?
Yeah, dog.
Like y'all Drake fans, I don't get it. I don't get Drake fans. I don't. Maybe it's just a lot of other fake tough guys who like a fake tough guy, I guess. I don't know. But I digress. But you know, Kanye was, you know, talking about, you know, racial disparity and working regular jobs and having to deal with management and the man, and that's what Kanye was talking about on his first album. That's why people loved it. That's why I loved it so much.
Yeah, man.
That spaceship song, man. Talking about, you know, I want to climb into my spaceship and fly away.
Yeah,
if I gotta work this grave shift, like you know, that related to people, and I get that. And I understand why people like J. Cole, who isn't a tough guy, gangster guy, street guy, gravitated towards that. But at the end of the day, J. Cole was still dealing with internal conflict because of his programming and that duality that I spoke of with DDG, where it's like, yes, this is who I am, but I wish that I could turn this off. Like people like J. Cole, and I share in some of this. So I'm not throwing stones at a glass house because I share in this. People like J. Cole wish that there was an on-off switch. And they wish that they could just flip the switch off and they can turn the brain off and allow the Drake in them to take over. Like that's what people like J. Cole wish. These guys, I was like that. When I was younger, that's how I was. Like I wish that I could just flip a switch, turn my brain off, and hit the club and go Drake. But I'm not that, and there is no switch. You are who you are.
Right.
You are who you are. And eventually you're going to have to reconcile that. You can't keep living a lie. You can't. It's going to eat away enough at you that you're going to come to terms with who you are, and you're going to have to learn to live with that as comfortably as you can. And you know, J. Cole still kind of sometimes does this identity crisis stuff, but I think for the most part, he's accepted this and he's come to terms with that. You hear a lot less of this, you know, these hoes this and I'm smashing this and all of this other kind of stuff. You hear a lot less of that now, even though he still does it to a degree. You hear a lot less of it now than you used to with him because he's made that realization. And age and marriage and fatherhood will do that to you. So I commend him for that, and I commend his appreciation for Kanye providing that template for him because other rappers out here are still struggling with this identity crisis. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to be who they want. And they end up coming out this weird version of an artist that just does weird stuff. See the video we talked about last week, talking about Logic.
Yeah.
Just can't figure it out. Can't figure it out. So I hear him on that. Kanye today, not so much. But certainly the Kanye from 2004, absolutely. I get with that 100%.
Yeah, man. College Dropout is you know, I don't listen to it. I might listen to it again now. Especially that song you were talking about.
Spaceship. Yeah.
Spaceship. Yeah. That thing go hard, man. That thing go hard, man. And that got me through a lot of stuff, dog. That got me through a lot of stuff, man. And I played that all through college, honestly. Even though that's the stuff came out like our senior year of high school, I played that all through college, man. Because it was just, you weren't getting nothing like that at the time. Everything was still fresh off the bling bling and fresh off of, you know, making club bangers, and you know that had something to it, but A1 production. And you really didn't get that kind of stuff back then. So I can definitely understand where J. Cole's influence came from with that. But yeah, man, I agree with you, man. He did seem to have some of that identity stuff going on. And that's why I kind of fell off the train
Me too.
Yeah, and I was on board with it, but then I was like, man, what is this, dude? And that's why I think he went all, you know, I think what happened to him is when he got signed, he had to acquiesce a lot in order to be on or be put out or whatever. And I think him, you know, going freeform locks, catching the bus, riding bikes. I think that was him just trying to get it all back.
Yeah.
And from whatever he sold out on. And I felt like he's been doing his juggling act between interest and his true art. And so on top of the identity stuff, because you ain't have to say none of that stuff, dude. I really feel like even if they were trying to make you make some stuff, you ain't have to go those angles. So yeah, he lost me a while ago. And if I do listen to J. Cole, this older stuff, like when he first came out, like I said, the warm up to me is still A1, spot on stuff. But and I also mentioned that Forest Hills for me was decent. I can listen to that again, but I haven't heard this last one you spoke of. I fell off the train. But I still reserve you know, something for the guy. I think that he's just a confused man sometimes. But he speaks my mind a lot. He does a lot of the stuff. He says a lot of the stuff that I feel, and that's why I know there's a good dude in there somewhere. And he just got caught up in the game, and he's just a good dude in the game, you know.
Yeah, I feel you. You know, sometimes it really is a burden to be a principled person. Well, again, I'm going to get manospheric here, but I think sometimes it really is a burden to be a principled man in today's world, because there's the world of the flesh, and then there's the world of the higher calling. And I think people like J. Cole design themselves somehow to be in both. And you can't be in both.
No, you can't do this one or the other, bro.
You can't be in both, bro. And like, I get it, because I know what that feels like. Like, J. Cole went to St. John's. That's where he went to school. Like, I went to FSU. You know, you was at FAMU, right? Like, J. Cole used to talk often about all of the pretty girls in college and the kind of guys that they went for, and how he wasn't that. It's hard to deal with that. Like, so what you find yourself doing is, how do I make myself that? But you can't do it. You can't flip that switch. It's not a switch. Like, life is not a light switch that you can just flip on and off and be a different person. But you still try anyway. You still try. Like, bro, all throughout, especially when I was an undergrad, I used to try to morph my personality into so many different amalgamations to be the kind of guy that I thought the cute girls were into, because I saw the kind of guys that they liked. All the girls that looked good, the guys that they were interested in, they looked and acted a certain kind of way. They dressed a certain kind of way. And, you know, not that I'm a bad dresser, but they dressed a certain kind of way.
It was on something else.
Yeah. They
and I wasn't on that.
Yeah. They wore their hair a certain kind of way. They did, you know, they had tattoos a certain kind of way. There was an archetype for what the cute girls apparently liked, and I didn't fit that mold. But I still want to get with cute girls. So what can I do? That's the kind of guy I feel like J. Cole is. That he's that vessel of a person. And I see the same thing with guys like Wale. I see the same thing with these. You can hear it in their music. You can hear it. It's like they know who they are deep down, but they still try to create this caricature to satisfy certain superficial needs that they have.
Agreed.
And at the end of the day, you are who you are, and you can't fake the funk for very long.
Right.
You can't do it. So, you know, you look at J. Cole now, his wife isn't an Instagram thought or nothing like that.
No.
You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, this stuff is going to it's gonna show through. It just is. So like when you say he signed to a label and he had to do a certain degree of, tap dancing, if you will, selling out, there was probably an element of that going on. But I also think he was trying to morph himself willingly into this thing that he's not.
A lover boy.
Yeah, if you listen to his first like 3 albums, like the Born Sinner, what was his first one called?
I think
the first one, the second one was Born Sinner. The first one was dang, I should know this. It's a shame I don't know this off the top of my head.
The story, the sideline?
The sideline story, the sideline story. So if you listen to that and the Born Sinner, he's all over the map, where it's just like, I'm this introspective, thought-provoking, higher plane of existence, but it's like I still want to be in the club and I want to get with these girls and I want to do this and I want to be the biggest Mac and do all of that kind of stuff, and it's like it creates cognitive dissonance within you. And I think, the difference between him and Kanye, though, Kanye never really did that.
No, he did.
Kanye was on that talking about society stuff, but Kanye was still, this is where I am when it comes to women. And like it or take it or leave it. This is how I feel about that. You know what I'm saying? But J. Cole would be like, I'm dipping and dabbing. I want to get with Erykah Badu, but then I also want to get with Brittany Renner. And it's like, bro, you got to pick one. You can't do both.
Yeah.
You're not Drake. You're not. And again, I say that with compliments. I don't mean that as an insult. But, I'm happy to see that, by all appearances, he's been able to transition into being more comfortable in his own skin, even though he will still from time to time go back and forth. But he used to do it way more when he first came out, when he was kind of at his younger period, because J. Cole's our age, bro.
Yeah.
He used to do it way more back when he was first coming out. Back when he was signed to Rock, Jay-Z and Rock Nation and all of that kind of stuff. And so now he's more of his own person, and it's cool to see. And if Kanye was the inspiration of that, I think he's all good for it. And if this is indeed his last album, hopefully this is the album that is most representative of the human being that he is. And hopefully he doesn't do too much of that tap dancing back and forth where he's J. Cole, but then J. Cole, the Drake version.
Yeah, agreed, man. So hopefully this is I didn't know this was going to be his last piece of work. So fingers crossed that it's actually his thoughts on this and his true feelings about things, because I do think that his introspective stuff, it hits a lot of chords with a lot of people, and I think that's why he has so many fans. Is because of his introspective like thoughts, and not his thought raps.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know who's really there for those. I really don't. And and I know he's got a ton of fans, and I'm pretty sure we've already offended quite a bit of them. but if you guys are hearing what we're saying that we really like the introspective part, the part you like. And the part we criticize is the other stuff, the part that sounds a little industry, the stuff that sounds like it's contradicting the stuff you just heard in the last song. So that's my critique with him. So hopefully it's all in one line and stuff. But I really think him signing with Rock Nation was a gift and a curse for him. It gave him great exposure, and he was allowed to do his thing on his mixtapes. But when he did that album, that's when the contradictions happened. That's when the videos came out with certain stuff in there that I was like, hey man, why you got this going on in your video, bro? I thought you was one of us, and he's got, crazy stuff happening, and, he had to do his thing. He was part of the industry, man. So, tormented, man, I'm sure, he has his demons, and stuff. I guess no pun intended with the Born Center stuff and all this good and evil stuff that he had going on, but that's him.
Yeah.
That is him in a nutshell, man. So I guess that was a good little thing that he had going for himself, because that's what his rap career has been. Yeah. But overall, he do look like a clown for teaming up with Drake at all. I was still never in favor of that. I was shocked when I first saw it. I was like, what is this? What's going on here? What did I miss? I thought I missed something. I clearly missed something. So I wasn't a fan of that. And I wasn't a fan of this whole beef thing, how he handled that. But hey, man, you know, ain't nobody perfect, man. So hopefully this album is on the straight and narrow. And if it's got some crazy stuff in there, I'll let y'all know about it. You know, I ain't gonna hold back. I ain't no overall fanboy. I still hold people feet to the fire. So best of luck to you, Mr. J. Cole, man. And Kanye, get well, bro.
Get well.
I don't know what Kanye on, bro. Get well, bro.
Yeah, Kanye on some crazy stuff, man.
I don't know what he on, bro. Every week, bro, there's an article. I go, I'm not covering this. This guy's out of his mind. He in the paper every week.
Yeah, for some salaciousness. Yeah. Yeah, shouts out to Cole, man. Good luck, brother. You know, Cole is potentially on the bigger and better things. Like if he puts the microphone down, I can imagine J. Cole being truly a beacon for the community in ways that aren't fake and contrived and that are actually productive and pragmatic. So we'll see what comes from that. But in the meantime, we look forward to the next album. Out of respect, J. Cole is one of those people that from a legacy-wise, even if I'm not as much of a fan of him now as I was before, when he does something, I'm going to listen to it at least once out of reverence. And then, you know, I make my determination from there. So we'll see. But shouts out to Cole, man. Good luck, bro.
Good luck, bro.
All right. So with that closes us out this week. Everybody, another stream in the books. Conscious Approach once again on YouTube. Shouts out to everybody who tuned in to tonight's stream. Shouts out to everybody who subscribes to us, who hits that like button, who leaves a comment. We certainly appreciate all the support as we continue to fully flesh out this community and keep this train rolling, man. Check us out on Instagram at ConApproach, ConApproach. The website is also there, consciousapproach.com. I am on Instagram at JVWins, JVWINS. We are also creating Conscious Approach begrudgingly on TikTok. I don't trust me, people. I don't want to do this, but it's also very beneficial. So be on the lookout for that. Once we launch it, we'll be uploading all of the individual videos on the TikTok channel as well, so you can interface with us there too.
Yeah.
You know, and moving forward, as I always like to say, as we end each and every video, please, everybody, think for yourself. Don't be a group thinker. Have a mind of your own. Unplug from the matrix. Go to all of my sports teams. He went 2-4 on a recent road trip, but we did beat the terrible Philadelphia 76ers last night. So shouts out to that. But until next time, folks, we'll catch you on the flip side.
And the name is Dogon SS. You can find me on Instagram at Dogon_SS and on YouTube, TikTok, DraftKings, every other platform that you guys are on. I'm on that thing too, Dogon_SS. And as I say on every pod, guys, all right, don't be too high, don't be too low. Keep it calm, keep it chill, keep it player. And don't let anybody get you off your pivot. So until the next time, everyone, thank you for liking and subscribing. More rings than Robert Ory. We'll catch y'all on the next one.
Yep, that's right. Y'all stay safe out there. Parents, let your kids go outside.
For real,
everybody think for yourselves. We will see you on the next video. We will see you on the next stream. But until then, peace.
Peace. Go Kurt. Hell yeah. We're on TikTok now.